Entering into the fast lane, it's day one of Fixed Ops Week. Join our team on our whirlwind tour through the very best of fixed operations. Here to kickstart our first ever 5-day event is our host, Katrina Ness.
I'm Katrina Ness from Northwood University, and today I'm your co-host for the biggest ride in fixed operations. We are not easing into this week. We are launching at full throttle. 5 days, over 200 industry leaders. Whether you're here to boost your hours or finally crack the code on retention, you're in the right garage. So tighten your grip, check your mirrors, and get ready because day one starts now. Lights on, engines up, let's roll. Don't just watch the show, be a part of it. Jump into the chat on the right side of your screen and make some noise with us. Just make sure you've got everyone selected and not just hosts and panelists. Let's keep the energy high all week long. Go, go, go.
Good morning and welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It is Fixed Ops Week and we are so excited for our 5-day virtual event, Ted.
That's right, Sarah. It's our very first 5-day event and we're doing that to honor the great people of fixed operations. I can't imagine, I could never have thought, Sarah, years ago when we started this whole venture, that we'd be here doing 5 days, Monday through Friday. Here we are.
Here we are, and it's been such an incredible evolution to go from a 1-day event, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and now here we are, 5 days of content. And Ted, so much incredible panels, so many incredible topics that we're going to be discussing over these 5 days.
You're going to get a chance to meet the great people of fixed operations in dealership, from technicians to service advisors to the BDC to managers to leaders who make it all happen and put it all together. And a lot of new topics at this event. Again, our first 5-day event. So everybody get ready, get started. We're Monday morning and it's just the beginning of Fixed Ops Week.
Here we are, Ted. This is so exciting. Everyone, welcome and stay tuned.
Kicking things off with energy and insight, please welcome Tully Williams of the Niello Company as he sets the tone for Fixed Ops Week. Let's get it started.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. What a great way to get our event started. Tully Williams is with us from the West Coast at the Niello Company. He and I were just reflecting. Tully, this is number 32 Fixed Ops Roundtable. Great pleasure to welcome you back to the
Holy mackerel, 32 years. Can you believe it, Ted? I remember we started
It feels
this.
like years, yes.
I'm just telling you, I mean, look what you have done and look at the information that you're giving all of us out here in the fixed ops world. Every one of us says thank you for bringing the highlight, but look what you profiled. 32. I remember I was at the second one out there in Beverly Hills, and we had that. And we enjoyed it, and all those great speakers come in, and everybody gives a roundabout. COVID came, and you did the smartest thing ever and put it online, and now everybody around the world in the nation can look at and see what's going on. We all want to know, and you've helped me find great partners. Julie, DealerPay, thank you. Scott Davis, from Volley, thank you.
Volley is fantastic.
Huge deals for us, right? And other technologies that we've seen that we've gone into and looked at. And then also when you look at best practices that some of these great dealers are doing, you don't need to be a big dealer. A small dealer might have great ideas. So, when we come out with the next one with 5 full days, holy mackerel, 5 days is a lot, is that everybody please listen. I know we're all busy, but I listen to all of them. I just put the screen on and I listen to it as I do my work for the day. And of course, a customer comes in, you just mute it out. But the goal is going to be is that you can learn so much and interact. And Ted, wow, what a lineup this week.
And Tully, you are a big part of so many pieces of the lineup because you've helped in actually championing a lot of these processes that our folks are going to see this week. There's a lot of new things happening on the Roundtable that you are a part of. Obviously, our great friends at Cox Automotive and the great work that they're doing there with their different brands. Also, of course, CDK is with us as well. You mentioned Julie Douglas at DealerPay and Scott at Volley, but there's some new friends, on this event, and we're going to be really excited to see your segment with ACV. And tell us for a moment, because they're going to introduce that new Viper product. That's really strong.
I'm telling you, the Viper product is just strong as hell. I mean, when you look at what is it doing for us, is that it's helping the fixed ops department as it helps the used car department. A healthy used car department is so good for the dealership and for fixed ops. And now there's a product that is less intrusive, super lightweight, right? And the processes they're doing about checking for damage, looking for tires, giving a price code. It's not all about acquisitions. It's also about helping us in the service drive do our job right. So that's where you get this twofer for this product. And here's one thing I didn't want to say before.
Go ahead.
I secretly pulled it over and knocked it over. And guess what? We tilted it back up. We called them in a panic. And within about an hour, we had it up and running. So it is dumb proof. So that to me is a great deal because it's not bolted to the ground. It's a lightweight. But having that process going, I'm so excited that people can learn about how do we buy cars in the service drive that strengthens the fixed ops department. That's the key. How do we drive our retention as that store, our El Gros store, BMW, is doing a successful 72% retention rate. Wow. Why do we want people to ever go away? And the answer is no. I just want to buy their car and put them in another BMW. That's the key, and that's what Viper's going to help us with.
There's also a couple discussions you're going to be on. There's a new CRM that's coming out in the industry. It's not new, but it's going to be new for fixed ops. Yep. And for a fixed ops CRM that really encompasses the entire dealership, Tully, that's going to be another game changer. And you are going to be helping to champion that at Niello Company as well.
So, when you look at DriveCentric, they're a great partner of ours here on the sales side. And as they start to dabble on the fixed side, it's really exciting. And hey, guess who's coming out to the June 10th pop-up event? The CEO of DriveCentric to come out and talk about all the great things they're doing for us. As we try to bring fixed and the sales department together, it's going to be interesting to see what they have and very exciting.
Tully, you're also doing a lot of work and have been for some time with Revolution Parts. Yep. You're doing parts e-commerce. Larry Sherman is always a big part of our events. And thank you for that. I know you and he have worked together for many years. Yep. But it seems now that e-commerce parts is now becoming mainstream. And you've helped bring that to life, my friend. And not just like in one of your stores. You've got that in multiple. Do you have that, I think, in all 10?
All stores, yes, 100%. So Revolutionary Parts, another fixed ops Roundtable find for us is that we've embraced that. And why would we not when you have a platform that makes it easy for us to do business? Integration into our CDK, right? How does it make it easy for our parts people to sell more parts to the world? Revolutionary Parts makes it easy. There's a lot of people in that space, but here's the thing. We're busy. We've got to make sure it works. And here's another thing. They help us market out in the world that we want to sell to. Where do you want to sell? We'll help you. They do all that for you. The package they come up with is incredible. And it's really exciting to see is that as we see our parts managers get scared, oh, we're going to get all this fraud, we're all going to all this horse manure, is that now we're seeing the success of that. And they're like, we want more. And now we can work with Revolutionary Parts to help us market to where we feel that we'll get the best results from. It's extremely exciting.
There's a lot of great conversations coming up this week. There's the Fixed Ops magazine panel with Ron Overs. You've been a big part of that for a long time, and we bring together some of the leaders in fixed operations, your peers, who, by the way, many of them are coming out to see you at the pop-up event in June. But that Fixed Ops magazine panel is really another home run, and that's been going strong now for, I think, 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I think it's longer than that, but I love when he comes out because when we get on that panel, it's good to see all of our friends together when we do the panel, but he doesn't tell us anything, not a whiffer of anything. So it's great when we get the question is that, we're going to tell you the truth right off the bat. I mean, we don't have time to think about some weird ass answer. We're going to actually do it. Sorry about that. But the whole goal is going to be is that we're going to get the real answer. Right? And that's what we want to see, right? We want to see our peers. What are they doing at their store? Like Tom has told us some great ideas, and Shon, right? And Jim, all of them give us great ideas of what's going to happen there and tell us what's working at their store so we can learn from that, right? And then maybe put it into our store or tweak it in a way that works for us. That panel there is a great panel, and I'm so honored to be part of that.
There's another panel, the Tech Visionaries panel as well. Marco is going to be moderating that this week. Marco's come a long way, and we have the hashtag what would Marco do, but really Marco leads the discussion with us, and another fine panel. You're a big part of that one as well.
The tech panel is the most important, as it says right there. It's all about the hours. How do we get our technicians to go home rich and tired? And I think it's great when you have the tech panel. We're actually going to talk about hours. Whereas all these things we're trying to sell you technology and all this stuff, which is good. But you know what? I got to have technicians. I got to have technicians that are actually doing the work every day. And how do we make them rich and tired and, of course, also happy every day? That panel comes together with technicians actually on that panel, right? We got Marcos that's been on it from day one, but some great service directors together. We talk about how do we make our technicians more efficient? How do we make them happier? How do we get better quality inspections and all that stuff? The tech panel, I think, has been going on for so long, and Marcos has taken that on, and he has done an incredible job keeping that going. So God bless Marcos.
While we're on the subject of techs, you have championed tech videos for some time. There's a lot of new technology out. You are also pioneering something with Joe Shaker at this event at TruVideo. When you and I were together in Las Vegas, you tapped me on the shoulder and you said, let's go. We're going over to Joe's booth. TruVideo, we brought the team and we all had a chance to try some of the new things. Here's Katrina with the glasses that TruVideo has got out there now for the techs. These are out in the marketplace now. But I think the best thing you're going to talk about on those videos at this event with Joe and Sarah and me, you're going to talk about that video quality score if you want to give away a little bit.
Oh my God. I mean, think about what we're doing. As we do about 10,000 plus ROs a month, we send out 10,000 videos. Here's the deal. We can't look at them all. Even though we actually are telling people this is how you make money and we have core values and human beings are human beings. We don't know what happened in the background. And Joe Shafer with TruVideo, thanks to you, Ted, for that connection, is a great way of looking at all those videos and telling us.
He says you've been in his 20 group. You were in his 20 group going way back. He was just happy to get on the show with you.
Correct. But here's the thing is that do we need like phone call measuring? Is that we need that with videos? Are we doing the processes right? One, Are we saying hello in a nice way? Hello, my name is Tully Williams. I'm so glad to work on your car today. Are we showing the license plate to make sure that's their car? Are we showing the underneath of the car? Are we talking about brakes and tires and showing the measurement, right? Are we talking about the filter? And that's what he measures. He's measuring the sentiment. Are we talking too fast? Are we talking too slow? Here's the deal. I don't expect a technician to be a trained professional actor. I just want them to do it because I want the customer to feel that they got a quality inspection from their great doctor that's working on their car. Joe is answering that call and coming in here. And I'm telling you, I got our second and third batch of videos. We're going to be the best in the nation, just so you know. Hands down, sorry, I'll take that challenge from anybody. But we have got it dialed in because we've been doing videos probably for a good 10 or 12 years. I mean, I came here at the Niello company 8 years. I brought it in. I had it at my previous employer, DG, and we had videos there. But the goal is going to be is videos work, but they have to be done right, and they have to be monitored. And thank you, TruVideo, for coming through and making this product as it's improving every release. I am so excited. Service managers, oh my God, easy to use. Technicians actually like it because they want to improve. We just got to show them, and we have to show the people that are doing a great job. Look at this video. You scored 100. Oh my God. What a concept.
Are we going to get a chance to meet some of your techs when we come out there in a couple weeks?
100%. I can't wait for June 10th, the great pop-up of the West. Thank you, Ted Ings, for coming out at our beautiful facility, our Porsche store there. Look at that gorgeous facility there with our team. But our goal is to show off one of our best assets is our technicians. And how do we develop them in-house? When you look at our technicians, is that we don't have a tech shortage. I'll say it one more time. We don't have a tech shortage. There's our great leader, Rick Niello, right there. 105-year company. But we don't have a tech shortage. Why? Because we are working and developing technicians on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, right? You got to have a bench. Do we have a bench of shop assistants to hourlies to flat rates? And then the next best thing that we love to talk about is I put their pay plan in writing and how they get a raise. They don't have to ask for one. They just got to not screw up cars, have great HR problems, no HRs, and guess what? Train. And guess what? We have raises built in for you. So the goal is going to be is we want to take that stigmatism out. We like small raises throughout the year as they work at it. But our goal is going to be, as they all know, I feel, it's all about the hours, and technicians know that their efficiencies. We have great parts people in the shops looking at parts for our great technicians in the shop as part of the team, right? How do we keep the technician in their stall, not at a parts counter or looking for this or looking for that, is that we really work hard on that. And I love to profile some of our beginners as we look at some of our superstars and, of course, our foremans that run these teams. So it's going to be a great event where you're going to see some of how the great success of the Niello company, because it's all about the hours.
Tully, rumor has it that the Niello company started in fixed. Is that true?
It did. It started in fixed in 1921. Thank you so much for bringing it up. As a Packard Aero Service Center in San Francisco, and here's the deal: is that there is a rumor around this town here that Tully brings it up a lot.
We're going to get to meet the great people of the Niello company on June 10th at the pop-up event.
Yep.
Tully pulls out all the stops. A lot of surprises and big announcements coming during that show as well.
Yep.
We're going to get to meet the people of the organization. Amazing, the young lady who is the controller who started off as a cashier, I believe, many years ago. And she has an amazing story to tell. She really, by the way, she and Julie and the dealer pay team, everybody really bonded really well. But the people of your company and the things they're doing, whether it's in recon, whether it's in the shop, whether it's with the service advisors, the great centralized BDC and your team there, unprecedented what you're doing there. You've made a lot of strides here over the last couple of years.
And it's because of all the team members. I'm just their cheerleader on the way, but our goal is going to be is that we get great processes that they believe in, right? The whole goal is the process has to be believed in. When we look at X Time, a great partner of ours I know Skyler is going to be out there, and Skyler has a great panel for you. But our goal is going to be is that how do we believe in the process of check-in, tech recommendations, tech videos, tech inspections, sending, oh my God, the quote to the people, great things that we do that inquire our service advisors, our great team of porters and support staff, to our advisors, to ultimately to our techs and our parts people. How do we bring all these people together? Profiling a lot of those great groups as our office managers, right? How do they help us going, making sure everything is right? And of course, as you said, Chris Toll has done a great job in leading that charge for the Niello company and all of her great gals at all the stores. And then we get to profile some of our great general managers that are running those stores today. We had that great panel there. We talk about information. How do we give information to our GMs? How do we give them so they have access to be transparent and look at that every day, right? And then, of course, we like to talk about our parts managers and assistant parts managers, which we have at all the stores, because we're always building that bench. And again, as our service managers and assistant service managers, how do we build that bench and how do we keep that going strong? And then, of course, we love to have our tech panels with our foremans and show that off. It is all bringing those people together that make a great dealership. And that's the reason why I hope that when people watch us, you're like, there's a lot of love going on at the Niello company.
I'm thinking of Carl and the centralized BDC.
Yep.
I'm thinking, I mentioned his name earlier, Larry Sherman,
Yep.
because parts sells hours. He reminds me about that all the time, Tully. And we're going to get the great people of the parts department
Yep.
at
Yep.
Tully's Niello company as well.
Yep.
All this coming together over a short span. And then you are bringing in, actually, fixed operations directors are coming to your store on June 10th for a big panel of fixed ops directors from around the country, some coming as far as the East Coast, coming to see you and sit on that panel. I know there's one coming from Nashville. I know there's a few others that are friends, but you're going to have a great panel of leaders there.
That's going to be the best part, is having the perspective of all of us, and I think that's the benefit that we're going to have with it. We bring a lot of big audience in. We encourage. We can't shut the place down, but we encourage our techs and our writers and our managers, our general managers and office managers, parts managers all come to that event so they can watch it. But that's a really good event where they've seen what's happening in the other stores. One thing that we do that we don't publicize is that we like to have a great wrap-up dinner at night. And, and I'm telling you, we've had some,
Yes,
Ted, we've had some great speeches there. Every time you come out, we have a wrap-up dinner. And then what we end up doing is that we sit there.
Can we expect that this time as well?
Absolutely. We have some great people out there. Some CEOs are going to fly out and be on a panel, but yet we're going to have a great meeting where we can have some of the times you can have that, I guess, a more natural, calm position. So we can have that panel. We can speak freely. And then two is that we're going to do that with those great service directors coming across the United States, where our service teams can ask questions about how they do things. I mean, honestly, I hope you record that, but sometimes that is golden information. What's going on out there? Because, we're in our bubble out here in the West Coast in Sacramento, but what's going on around the world? I think people want to know, and that's going to be really exciting. It's a great event.
So Sarah's coming with me.
Yeah.
We're going to moderate with you the Niello Company pop-up event. Tully, we're also going to bring with us some young people who may have never been to California, but who are entering the automotive industry from Northwood University. We've got some great standouts coming. Stephen Hackbarth, the intern, is coming.
Yeah.
Isabella Stevens is coming. I think there's a few more as well. So we've told them all about the Niello Company, and they're going to get a chance to see the best in person. And then the following day, Tully, I think we're coming to some of your stores and we're going to do a couple pit stop events. Is that right?
That is correct. The great thing about, the Niello company is a lot of our dealers are within a 5 mile and some of them are 100 yards away. So it's going to be great that we'll, do that where those kids come in. Like last time they came out, they had a great time doing those mini mic interviews. But now we're going to go to all the different stores and profile some of our great people, our men and women at those stores. We can go down and look at the Audi store and the Jag Land Rover store and the big monster BMW store and even the Volkswagen store, right? Those are all within 5 minutes. So now we can go in there and really see what's working at the Niello company and get some of those live talks, which I think are so important. And, they're so unveiling about what you get out of those things. Like, we do it this way and we do it that way. It's such a fun time.
All right. In the meantime, stay with us this week, everybody. Fixed Ops Week. Tully Williams, as you've just heard, headlining a whole lot of things happening this week. 5 days. First 5-day event we've ever done, thanks to you, Tully, and thanks to others, including Shon Kingrey, and helping us to get to the 5 days. And then we're coming out June 10th for the big pop-up at the Niello Company. For information on that, you can reach out to me or Tully, and make some arrangements. That's going to be a packed house, though. That's going to be nuts. So.
We're so excited, but here's what I want to say, guys and gals, this is the 32 event for the pop-up event. Please take it in, interact on that chat, talk about what's happening with those panelists there, interact with everybody. That's where we learn the most. Take the full advantage of this free process. God bless Mr. Teddings for making this happen for all of us. And we're super excited about this event, my good friend.
God bless Tully Williams and the Niello Company. Tully would never be here without you. So thank you for all you have done and continue to do for the industry.
Thank you very much,
for the
my
industry
good
at
friend.
large. Everybody, stay tuned. Tully Williams from the Niello Company with us here today, kicking off the 30-second Fixed Ops Roundtable.
There are a lot of competitors out there. What we're looking for, though, is the total package.
CDK is a proven solution. The support is ongoing, the development is ongoing, and for us, there is no other solution.
I really believe they know our business, they know the automotive space, and more they continue to be able to help us use the system the way we want to do business.
That relationship is really what this is all about. You don't have a relationship with software, you have a relationship with the individuals behind the software. That's what we're really comfortable with CDK.
Up next, Joe Shaker of TruVideo joins Tully Williams to drop the new VQS, because in fixed stops, your video game better be strong.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the TruVideo panel. And Ted, video is making quite the waves in fixed operations.
Sarah, it certainly is. Look at this. We have the two legends with us here on the roundtable. Joe Shaker, founder of TruVideo, and on the West Coast, Tully Williams at the Niello company. Joe and Tully, I never thought I'd say this. Welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm super excited.
Yeah, I've known Tully for a long time. We were in a 20 group together at with my dealerships and him in maybe 20 years ago. But I've known Tully for a long time. So I'm hoping I could get through this event.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you that at NADA a few months back in Las Vegas, Sarah and I were recording, and Tully came over and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "It's time. We're going to see Joe at TruVideo right now." And literally, we dropped everything we were doing, brought the film crew, as you remember, and brought the team, and we went down to see you. And Joe, it's got to be the most exciting thing that I saw at NADA. And there was a lot there, but I think you had the technology piece handled.
Yeah, our goal there was, because we have partners, Reynolds, CDK, Time, and we power so many people for video. We're kind of like the NVIDIA inside now. So our goal there wasn't to sell anything to anybody. It was to say, look, this is the value of video. This is what's happening with AI. And then here is where the future is. So it's like, here's the current state. Here's where it's going. Here's what the dealers and everybody are, every minute we turn over another issue that we can look at and solve. So what we did was we tried to make that like a CES experience. And what ended up happening was we had, 12 OEMs come to see us. We had everybody. Usually I'm running around eating peanuts and granola bars, meeting to meeting. And it ended up where we had everybody come into our booth so they could meet up, but also we could showcase what we were working on for future technologies. And it made it a pretty fun and exciting. And we loved having you too as well. It was awesome having you stop by.
Tully, it was very impressive. What do you think?
Very impressive. I love that we're growing this industry because, you kind of think about, okay, you're just taking a video with your cell phone, but, Joe is just blowing this thing up with the next generation of cameras. What's nice to see too is that all the big companies, Xtime and all the DMSs are using this product, which means it strengthens the product for Joe, that then he can offer all these great opportunities for us. And the next one of the scoring thing, which I cannot wait to talk about, this has been needed for years. And Joe, thank you so much for making this happen.
Well, Tully, I got to mark this down as you complimented me. I mean, this is the first time in years. So you did it on camera too, which is really a faux pas on your part, because now I can roll this back when we're together and when you're making fun. So this is going to be great.
Joe, tell us about the VQS, video quality score, to kind of get things started.
Well, what's interesting is Tully's a great example, and this is what's fun about having him on this. And I'm going to try not to leave any video compliments to him, but he's been in the video space forever and a day. Like when we were doing it, talking about it, Tully's been around, he's been doing it, and he immediately adopted video years and years ago when it started to come out. And so all the real good OEMs, all the real good dealers their goal was, I'm going to hit 70% video view rate. All right. And they focus on view rate. And because you could send, and what is that? Well, that number, we actually set it up. It's on customer facing repair orders. So anybody coming in for customer pay and everybody coming in for warranty are a customer facing RO. So those customers view a video at a high number, and I'll just digress a little bit. Technicians, everybody talks about having technicians take videos. That's very important, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's really about view videos too, because if the customer doesn't view it, doesn't matter. And the view portion is the responsibility of the advisor. And people just think technician taking videos. Well, the advisor has to say, Sarah, you're going to be getting a text from us today. It's going to have the technician doing a video. I'd love for you to take a look so you could see, and he'll point out things or she'll point out things. And it's important. And so the advisor increases the view rate. So once they hit that view rate number, they've effectively trained their technicians to do videos in volume. They've trained their advisors to encourage view rates, and they're at 80%, let's say. The dealers all are like, Kaizen, continuous improvement. Their thing is, all right, what's the next? How do I get better at this? And it always went to quality. So dealers start pouring through video after video, and they realize that this is nuts. And I can't get through the video. This is unbelievable. So we said, all right, we talked to dealers, and, we have a lot of information doing whatever, 26 million files a month. And we were like, okay, there's two pieces of it. The first piece is about 80%, and that is the content that you're saying in there. So are you, and it's both verbal and object detection. Are you doing the process correctly? Are you showing each tire? Are you showing brakes? Did you show a gauge? Did you, so what is exactly, are you following a process, right? Because what's happening is an MPI is a process. You can check, and then you go do a video for like 30 seconds. The video is the new document. The checklist is just recording the metrics in a systematic way so that we can have that data on where the car stands. But then they do the video. It needs to have that same system and process. In F&I, we have 100% of the product, 100% of the time. There's a way to do it. We have to do it. And then with the technicians, they're just picking and choosing. Number two is that's about 80% of the score. The 20% of the score is what we call the delivery, right? Words per minute, profanity, any of these different things that take the quality of how it's delivered to the customer, and then combined, we end up creating a score. I'll tell you a funny story. I thought we broke it when we were testing it early on, maybe 8 months ago. And it said this person was like 360 something words per minute. And I go, oh, damn, what's wrong with it? We got to check it out. We turned it on, this video, and the technician sounded like an auctioneer. He was like, oh, all right, we're going to go around the brakes. I thought we were in a horse race or an auction, one or the other. And I was like, oh my God, it works. Right. So at the end of the day, it's incredible. And then what it does is it highlights exactly what technicians need to train on. That technician was doing a great job, had a lot of the content and things, but their delivery was poor. So we know what to work on with that technician. And then it's the same thing. So you don't have to pour through 8 billion videos. And then you can draw other insights out of there, which I can get on later. But just in this most basic sense, if Tully says, this is the Niello way, then he can make sure that they're not pencil whipping their videos like they're pencil whipping an MPI.
And Tully, your text told us of all the products they've used, even in the past. They told us the TruVideo product is the one. And that's where I heard it first, was at Niello.
It was. I mean, the simplification for them, because they're busy, and they need something that works, that's easy. And then they able now with the enhanced part, they can put a little circle on it, maybe put an arrow or something on there they like to do. Videos come around a long way, but the problem is the issue is getting your technicians to realize that videos are so important to them. And what we started here at the Niello company when I came up here is that videos were, of course, instantly put on, but we also wanted to show the technicians the benefit of that video. Now, one is that we pay the technician for the inspection and video. Just everybody understands I pay everybody half an hour. Oh my God, you're paying a half an hour. But I can hold them accountable. We're 99% video. Our look rate, like Joe was talking about, we're at 90%. That's because we talk about it every day. But for the technician, it wasn't it for me, is the hours they benefit from for things they sell when they do those videos. And now you talk to a writer and you talk to the technician and say, hey, 40% or 60% of the hours that you are doing in your stall were because of great same-day selling using that video. It strengthens what they need to see, because a lot of times they don't see it that way. And they're like, oh my God, look at that. So then we can hold them accountable. And Joe said it perfectly here, is that we cannot go through 8,000 videos a month. And we do like to run contests a lot. Well, every time we do a contest, we do a tech contest video. We give up to $5,000 to the number one winner of over this 3-month period. right? And when we look at video, sometimes you cringe and some like, wow, that was incredible. And how is there a way for us on a daily basis to look at those quality of videos so we can coach and mentor our great technicians to make better videos? So we are super excited.
Yeah, what's interesting is it's going to be interesting because I know that, you know, we're going to be doing a pilot with you. And what's interesting is we've done one of the top dealer groups in the United States. I'll give you an example of where the money is, because what Tully spoke about was Delta report. This is no video, and then this is video. So it's 40%, whatever. Each brand has different ones. Like you would see that's like a German import. It could be higher than maybe a Japanese import in terms of Delta. How much more do you get? No video versus video. There's another level now. No video versus quality video. We've tested, I think we did a 300,000 repair order sample, and it was another $60 a repair order if you scored an 80. And I'll tell you how that happened.
Wow.
A great example is we have one of the largest dealer groups in the United States using VQS. They do like 200,000 videos a month. So about 250,000 ROs, 200,000 videos a month. They were showing a filter 6% of the time, and they were mentioning it 3%. So filter is something that most people, I think the close rate is 25%. If you show a video, it's done. So $60, 25% is $15. They were missing out on $3 million a month. The 200,000 videos times $15, $36 million a year. And we didn't get past the filter. So when it's not just about quality, it's really about, are you following the process? Because if you don't show something, if you don't say something, you will not sell something. And it's amazing how the techs would just pick or choose. And when they have to follow a process, and dealers that score an 80 or above on our scoring model, there's only 10% of dealers that do it. And when they do it, it's $60 more. And I think it's just because you're doing the right process, you're showing the right thing. So this big company came to me and said, can you help us with declined repairs? And I said, how about if I help you with repairs you didn't even show? Can we start there?
Yes. You know, it's great to see when we're in the repeat and referral business, and it's all about retention. The 4 things that we talk about every Tuesday at our 10 at 10 meeting is brakes, batteries, tires, and maintenance. And everything that Joe's talking about with the video is all in there. And as we are driving to be over 70% plus in our group for retention number, as we are at 70 today, our next target is 75. Videos like this help you tremendously. Selling brakes, batteries, and tires, showing the people the needs, having videos, right, strengthens that and drives that retention number, which is the business that Fixed Ops is in.
Well, you know, the other thing VQS taught me, we've been tracing all the data. So I'll give you a brake job. I call it the batting average for selling brakes. So if the technician says nothing and the advisor just sells brakes, it's a 15%, 15.12. So let's say 15%. If the brake is mentioned in the video, the advisor sells it at 22%. I'm going to take the rounding off. If they show the brake and they mention it, it goes up to 25%. If they show the brake, mention it, engage it, it goes up to 29%. So we've been able with VQS now to start figuring like, what's the batting average between not doing it terrible and doing it incredibly well. And then I look at that and I say to myself, now we're talking technology again. I go, so if I gauge it and I show it and I say it, it's the highest batting average. What happens when I'm able to use the tire reading software that I showed you guys, and then I'm able to have a picture when you could slide it and it actually shows a better picture to the customer as to the wear on the tire and why it did it. Does that number of 29 go to 36? So everything we do is communicating better and better. So what we've learned for VQS actually can tie into technologies that we make to better communicate to the customer. Okay. And then in effect, we'll raise those averages that we see, as I call the batting average for brakes.
Well, we look at brakes exactly the same way. Sorry, Sarah. We look at the brakes exactly the same way, is that if we don't show the brakes, talking about the brakes in a video does not work. And showing that brakes, Our batting average needs to be 75% red brakes. That's what we want to do at the Niello company. We want 75 to 85% batteries. I want to be 90% maintenance, and I want to be 55% on when it comes to red tires. And I can't believe I said that low of a number out loud. But you know what? Video is what actually helps us get there. Just like Joe said, is that showing the tire, showing the measurement gives that quality and also gives that honesty that where the technician is actually the doctor of your car, and here's what your car needs. We give, we buy 3, get 1 free all the time. It's embedded in our Niello way. We should sell every tire and we should sell every brake because we're not proud of the price. We just don't need you to go anywhere else. And video helps us get there.
Well, and to follow up, Tully, so VQS, this is really critical for an operation like yours and the scale that you're implementing these videos across your rooftops. But, across the industry, Ted and I are listening to conversations, and sometimes we do get the question from dealers that are saying, I have video, I definitely am using it, but my techs aren't keen on it. We're having some challenges with this tech adoption. They're just, they're not interested in being on camera. They don't want to go through all of those steps. So, Tully and Joe, I'm going to ask a little bit of a loaded question, but is tech adoption a process issue or is it a people issue?
I'll take it first. I think that when you look at it, it is a people issue first and a process second. The reason I say that is that one is that we have to convince the technician that this helps them and their family make more money, right? If we show the process and how it works. Now, this is something that doesn't happen with the snap of a finger, right? This is something that we talk about daily at our meetings. This is something we talk about our service and general managers and our dealer. They all have to be bought in. As soon as you realize and show the value that they can make more hours, and that means selling hours on the rack, not selling hours in the parking lot, they believe. And then the next thing, it becomes a process. And that's where we need Joe to, God bless him, for making that scoring card, because that has been the thing that we have not had ever. We have AI that listens to phone calls. So if someone gets upset, guess what happens? Boom, sends it over to the service manager. But we've never had a way to look at 8,000 videos a month plus for us as our group. There's no way a human being can actually look at that. So they spot check. Service writers are busy. They're not going to look at the videos every day. And that's the reason it's so important. So getting back down, it's people showing them how great it is for them. And then the process comes later. And the next thing you know, we're 99% tech video. Our view rate is 90%. Our quote and our video. That's what happens when you believe in it. That did not happen overnight.
So I'll chime in and say he's exactly right, and I'll provide examples of that. So a great example is you'll see a technician that has a favorite advisor pre-video, right? And what they'll do is they'll come out with their list and they'll be walking in to talk to the advisors, and they'll see the one they don't like. And then they'll go, oh, I left my light on the bench, and they'll leave. And they'll look through the window until their favorite advisor. Well, what video did was video made sure that everybody received the same transparent message from the doctor, not the receptionist. So the advisor couldn't take the 5 recommendations and water them down to 3. And everything was getting directly to the customer. So there's a thing that when you show a technician, hey, remember you'd go to the desk and wait for Mary all the time. And when Bob was there, you'd run to the bathroom. No, everything goes through. This is getting your message directly to the customer, unadulterated, square. That's the thing. So everything we say is telling the technician why it benefits them. When we do VQS and we're starting to show this to technicians, we're saying, you really don't realize this, right? But when you skip a few steps, you're actually skipping stuff that people will just take and you're missing it. Filter would be a great example because for some reason you didn't feel like showing a filter. We have to stick to a cadence because that's going to get another X. You're doing the video anyway. We're not asking you to spend any more than 1:30 or 2 minutes. And then here's the benefit to you. So every time you do it, when we made captioning right at the bottom of the video, I didn't say, hey, this is ADA compliant, all this stuff. I went to the technicians and I said, you know why you got to take the car off the rack for an approval? Because the customer's in a meeting and they can't take the phone call for an hour. So it's off the rack, it's on the rack. Well, now that the customer has it at the bottom, 85% of videos on Facebook are watched without sound.
Right.
They're reading the bottom and saying, okay, go ahead and do the work. It gives you a chance to not have to do that. Do you like to save time? Do you like taking things off the route? I don't like to take, of course. So here's what transcriptions did for you. And so these things, every time you mention that to them, you have to mention it in a way in which benefits them. The advisors, you have the same conversation, what benefits them. People just want to know what's in it for them. Ultimately, communicating correctly, there's something in it for everybody, so it makes the message clear.
You know, one thing I want to add to that is that when we look at I call same day selling, it's same visit selling, but the goal is going to be is the better quality that we got with our videos. And some stores have those little sticks with a finger on the end so they can point to an oil leak or a battery or a belt or some kind or something, because the cars are kind of crammed in there nowadays. Is that our same day selling back, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, we were pretty proud with 45%. We're not proud unless it hits 70 today on reds. And that's because we are doing a process. To what you said, Sarah, is a process after we believe the video works, is the process happens. So now everyone is getting hopefully a quality video, right? The service advisor now wants to sell those things because they truly believe in it. And the customer believes that if we have retention of 70+%, trust is not the issue. Money is not the issue most of the time. It's about the time that they have at the car. And guess what? We can manage that. And that's the super important. And that's how we can get up to 70+% on our red same day selling because of videos, but starts with the process.
Joe, it seems that VQS, that is the hot item right now because big groups are asking for it. We're hearing more and more about VQS throughout the industry. How are you rolling that out? How is that coming? Because I know some dealerships use different products, different DMS products that you are aligned with. Tell us a little bit more about that. And how do we get to see that in action at Tully store?
Well, so what we did was we have a very sophisticated setup where we've trained our models. There's people that say they have, VQS and they're just using AI models. Ours were trained over millions of videos with people annotating. This is the battery paper that comes out. Like any AI model can pick out a dog or a house or whatever. So at the end of the day, we spent a lot of time because we're dealing with unbelievable professionals and accuracy is incredibly important. So we have a lot of machine learning involved and a lot of training models and annotations, as they call it. So what we did was we started getting approached when people heard we got it, and it was very specific. So then we went to our partners and said, listen, I know you have big dealers. We want them to hear it from you first. And we're going to roll it out with some of the big dealer groups, and we're going to learn first from some of them. So we're with some of the largest dealer groups in the world right now with this. And we did that through our partners. And I said, look, just let's let them try it, have fun, learn. They wanted to do it. They loved it. And then we'll learn from them. And then you guys can see the reaction from the customer and decide if this is something that should be embedded into the software or should be an option that people should buy or whatever. We're not trying to pressure. And the OEMs really have caught on to it. We have OEMs calling us looking for direct VQS. Now, because ours is changeable, so if Tully says tires are our number one priority, I'm going to change our model, not to be the TruVideo model. He can go to a screen and make the value of tires higher on his scoring model, because that may be so important to Tully in his Niello model that he gets to adjust that. So what we did was we rolled it out. It's working at bunches of places, and Tully, is a big X-Time guy. And Tully told me when he saw me, because we have to do this, Tully has inside track there. And so we've already heard about it, and Tully's going to be going up on a pilot. So we have very large pilots all over the country right now. And then what's happening is everybody's seeing, really testing with dealers what the demand is. And then after you do it, it's going to be more inspect what you expect, because everybody trains in our industry and then the training falls off. So by doing it and picking out anomalies, we have structures that hit the manager every day with scoring and by tech, what they need, training things. So it's really going to be really cool. We'll grab some info for Tully, and then our partners, TruVideo and internally, are going to figure out how we roll this into everybody. We'll see. I think everybody should have this. It should be part of it, but it's ultimately the customer that makes the decisions. It's not me.
And Tully, for a group like yours that have been doing this now for years, this is the logical next step, the thing that everyone has been waiting for to get better, like Joe said, and take this up to the next level.
We've been waiting for this for years because it really is hard to, and like you said, the AI thing doesn't always work, especially when it comes to these technical issues with these videos that we're doing. But think about how do we measure it? How do we talk about training technicians, right? We send them to OEM training all the time. This is part of the process, but we don't train them on videos. The only way we train on videos is, if someone has a horrible video that, oh my God, we caught by accident, we're going to talk about it. But now with the score is we like to do performance reviews every month for our technicians. And we look at the last 4 months of data. And I call a performance review a way to say thank you for your hard work and show them the success they're doing. Right now, we look at the hours that they get the benefit from recommendations they sell through videos. But now, guess what I get to show? That correlation of that number and their score, and we can talk about it. So if their score is low, we can talk. The service manager, the foreman, and that technician now can talk about what they can do to help with that and look at those videos. Before, we never had that ability before to help train. So now, when our technicians come out, they can know that they're being monitored, which is good. And two is that we can train off of oopsies that happen and get our quality video. So when he says 80 is a number, 95 is what I need to be at. We're going to push to have a high score, right? And we're going to make a lot of fun and have a contest about that as that rolls out for us, because this is so important for us in our business.
I can't wait to. I may just fly out there for a couple of days to watch the fireworks. It's just. Listen, at car dealerships, if you step back for a minute, all our buildings start to look the same, and where the brands are developing. But, despite all of that, all our French fries look the same, but our French fries don't taste the same. And that's the difference between dealers. So if we can get more on process and structure and do the right things for the dealership, the right things for the customer, and the techs can have a solid process. We would never let F&I, maybe 20 years ago, they don't go, hey, that guy sells a lot. He likes to sell rate. He likes to sell warranty. Or she likes to sell this, or she likes to sell that. There isn't that. You have to have a structure, and we don't have that today for our technicians. And so this will allow us to do that. It'll help everybody get better. And it'll really further professionalize. It's not just a video, but it's the structure of the video, the way we deliver the video, the consistency and discipline, which are the two key words in any success for a person, personally or a business. So this is all we're really trying to do.
Well, Joe, on the 10th, we're having a pop-up event, and I would love you to come out to show the success that we're having. So you're invited June 10th.
Let's go. All right. Go ahead, Sarah. I know you're going.
Oh, it'll be really exciting, and to be at the Niello company with Tully and Joe, of course, we'll have an incredible follow-up conversation to what we're talking about today. But just in closing, just to put it out there, there's a lot of dealerships listening. We have a lot of retailers that are on the Fixed Ops Roundtable watching this today. Why should every dealer care about the future of video and fixed operations? And I'll pose that to both of y'all.
All right, I'll start first. I feel that video is a structure of like when we first came out with the paper inspection, where they would do the pencil whip, right? The goal is going to be is that if everybody realizes that if we provide a quality inspection and a quality video explaining the inspection, where I'm going to say it is a video inspection, customers become to know what they're getting every time they come in, and gaining trust. And if we're in the repeat referral business, trust is so important for us. And trying to drive our retention over 70% has to be your key each year. Our goal is to keep them in that car, and it's time to trade that car in. They buy another one from us, and they tell their friends and family. And video helps keep people in the stores, because here's the deal: aftermarket doesn't do it. Bad dealers don't do it because they're trying to save a nickel to make a dollar. It doesn't work. And if your store is going to set the high standard, I believe you should pay the technician to do that inspection. And then you actually talk about it every month, if not every week or every day, and make it a huge deal and show the value. It's a complete, absolutely no-brainer.
So I'll just make two items. Tully finished with show the value. If you ever have gone to a business class in college, there's always the speech that you get. If you show value, people are willing to pay. And you're like, yeah, okay, can you give me an example? And this is the example. When you're showing value, people are willing to pay. It's less about price. It's really more about the experience, because trust is the center of the universe. The second piece, when you said, why should dealers? I just always refer to last month, 916 billion videos were watched in the United States just on YouTube. People speak video. It is not a customer behavior. It is a human behavior. And by the way, while I'm saying that, add in texting. So at the end of the day, I don't know anybody that likes to talk on the phone. And I think it's asynchronous. It's clear. I used to go to marketing conferences as a dealer, and I'd want to throw up in my mouth when I'd hear people up there going transparency and trust, all these marketing, talking heads. And I go, okay, that's great. How do you execute that? We've executed that. Yeah. Meet people where they are. Okay, great. How do you execute that? We've executed that, right? So we're taking these sayings and punchlines at marketing conferences. We're executing on those, and the customers are like, it's not like we have to convince them to watch video. It is like what they do. It's a human behavior. So if I'm a dealer, it's really about, hey, good luck calling them on the phone. If you want to waste your time, go ahead. But, take how many repair orders you have, 1,000 customer pay, just as a round number. If you're not doing video, add $50 in labor, and it's $50,000 a month, and it's probably going to cost you $1,000 or a couple of grand to put the software. Are you kidding me? So the ROI is stupid. That's it. At the end of the day, just pay attention to what customers are doing, meeting customers where they are.
All right, we'll leave it there. Joe Shaker from TruVideo, revolutionizing the industry. Tully Williams, it's all about the hours at the Niello company. Thank you both today for all you do for fixed operations and for the retail industry. And very honored to have you both with us. With Sarah.
Well, thanks for putting me and Tully together. That was a dangerous thing to even attempt. We'll see everybody later. Thank you.
Tully Williams and Joe Shaker here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
98% of customer experience is how well or how poorly you communicate. Well, how come my software partners spend 98% of their development on workflows? What if they spent 100% of their time on workflows and we spent 100% of our time on communication? Then we'd be able to truly create transformative experiences for customers, and that's what TruVideo does.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here at NADA 2026 in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Vanessa Collins, joined by...
I'm Katrina Ness, and we have Joe Shaker here, who is the founder of TruVideo. Joe, what you are doing is truly, truly amazing.
Wow, thanks.
We are so happy to be here with you.
I like the truly, truly part,
Yes,
No, it's great. It's great. We're changing the way people communicate, and with video, and we're doing you're doing great work for dealers and for the automobile industry, providing the best experiences for customers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Joe, you started in the automotive retail space. You're still in it. You're actually a legend in that space. You found an issue, came and founded TruVideo. So tell us a little bit about your background and what TruVideo is today.
So it all started when I just called my best customers, and I was like, "How was your service?" I always feared failure, and everybody's trying to disrupt the car business. So I would call my customers, and I went through the repair orders, and I said, "How was the service?" It was great. Bought 3 cars. They knew the advisor by name. Like, I was like, "This is really good, right?" Yeah. And then I said, "All right, thanks for the compliments. I got one last question. Did you ever have any doubts?" And every customer paused, and they said, "Well, you're always going to have doubts, right?" And I was like, no good relationship has doubts. And that's when we started trying to do video and testing it. We built it out. I have a buddy of mine who's a technologist who I was investing in deals with. We tried it in the 20 groups that I'm in with my friends, and then it just took off from there, and the rest is history.
So Joe, for those that don't know, tell us what you do here at TruVideo. Give a little bit of a background for those that don't know the product and the software that you have.
So we started doing video and service when you would have your car dropped off, and we wanted people to see and understand what was going on, and we wanted to execute on transparency and trust, which was really like a punchline when you go to marketing conferences, right? No one ever really executes on it. Yeah. And we said, let's give it a shot. We did it. We we started selling direct to dealer, and we got really focused on video. And then all the big companies started saying, hey, you're really doing well. Why don't we team up? And today we power CDK, we power Cox X-Time, we power Reynolds, and we've really become like kind of the NVIDIA inside. And so we're trying to really just keep innovating. And that's what you see here today, or what we think the future innovations are. Some stuff we'll release next year. And then these things we're able to focus, and then all our partners, if they want it and if their dealers want it, they could use it. So it's been a really great experience this week here at NADA.
Yeah. Joe, TruVideo is a huge player in automotive, and like you just stated, you're constantly finding ways to innovate. So tell us about your latest technology that you are showcasing here at NADA.
All right, so first thing we did was we've been doing and using already is video quality score. We had all this data and all these videos, and we said, I didn't really know what to do with it when I started. I didn't start the business knowing that. We took the data and we analyzed it. We took this unstructured data, put machine learning on, object recognition, and we started analyzing, was that video a good video? Did you show the right things? Did you say the right things? And then did you deliver it in a way in which people could hear your voice, words per minute were right, and that quality, lifting that quality, lifted the repair order by like $60, and you're able to, instead of pouring through video after video, checking all the dealerships, you can actually look at the VQS scores for hundreds and hundreds of videos and identify the techs that need help and what they need to work on, et cetera. And that, we've been working on that with some of the largest dealer groups in the US. And then you saw some of the other things. You tried some of the futuristic glasses from X-Real and from Snapchat, Snap Labs, and the augmented reality. I know you guys like that. That's where the future is, where you're not just, everybody looks at glasses and goes, oh, you could record video. And you're like, yeah, no kidding. But that's not what matters. How can you use that to use augmented reality to show somebody a mark, to help someone understand, to pull out a line and measure a scratch? And then also you saw the tire readings and stuff like that, where we're zapping a tire and it's automatically reading all the sidewalls and the tread depth, and uploading that so that we can not only have that in the information, but we can also show customers what yellow means versus, hey, it's yellow.
Yes. Joe, this is truly amazing. Technician videos are on the come up, and they're crucial. They build a lot of trust and rapport with the customer, but a lot of times it's difficult for these techs to even want to do the videos because it takes time. They have to pull out their phone. They may mess up on the words. They may not know what to say. These glasses solve that problem. Vanessa and I had the opportunity to try them on before we hopped on this interview, and I am blown away, Vanessa.
I am too. I have never experienced anything like that. You know, sometimes I think, I wonder what the future of technology is, and I think about glasses, but the fact that it's come to fruition and it's actually here at NADA 2026 by you, Joe Shaker, I mean, it's just incredible.
It's not really by me. It's really, I think that the glass technology has largely been made for content creators,
Yes.
you know, to provide great experiences. And then they see us doing, you know, 25, 26 million media files a month, and then they're like, well, there's a commercial use for this. You can go up and draw and highlight and do things that provide a great experience for customers. And they originally, so we're only using it in one thing. I didn't really invent anything. I'm connecting the dots. And because I'm a dealer, I understand that that flashy object over there won't work, or that flashy object over there actually works perfectly. Absolutely. And I think that's where the magic is. And then the dealers that all work with us, we take all their input, and we're able to create great products because it's really relevant to dealers.
100%. And with you coming from the retail space and now with TruVideo, you're finding those gaps and, you know, helping to fulfill and solve dealer issues out there on the field. So it's just incredible what you are doing here at TruVideo and with your automotive group.
Well, thank you guys very much for visiting. It's a great meeting you. It was kind of weird when you knew one of your buddies interned with us.
Yes.
One of your Northwood friends interned with me over the summer at one of my dealerships in Boston.
Yes, the Mazda dealership, I believe. Our very good friend Connor Kirby interned, and he had an incredible experience out there. So thank you so much for, you know, driving that future generation of, you know, the automotive industry.
Yeah, I'm so happy you guys are here. The reason I'm doing all this is so that you guys have a long future in the auto business. We want to have a long future in this industry, and we can do that together.
Yes. Joe, what don't you do? You are amazing.
Well,
again, thank you so much for having us here
Thank
and
you.
for letting us learn about your products.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming by.
Of course. For those of you online, stay tuned. So much insights, value, and more conversations to come. Join us at our Rorman Automotive Group pop-up event with Ryan Rohrman.
Welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we are at Rorman Automotive Group's Schaumburg Kia. And Ted, we're here for an incredible grand opening of this facility with a very special guest with us today.
It is an amazing facility with amazing organization. Ryan Rohrman is here with us. Ryan, thank you for having us in, and very grateful for you.
You know, I just want to say thank you. I mean, you have your whole crew here. I'm looking at them all, and it's very exciting. So welcome to you guys and your team. We love what you're doing, and I mean, my team is following you guys. It's really amazing. It's just fun to have you be a part of our special day today. You know, as we open up, you've been open for a little bit, but as we celebrate the grand opening of Schaumburg Kia, and this is a unique location because not everyone knows this, but this 750 East Off Road is where we're sitting right now. This was our first dealership as we entered into Illinois in 1984. This is where I started my business. This is where I started my career with the Rohrman Auto Group. 2005, this was a little Honda store, and I worked here for 15 years, selling and then working my way up through the ranks of, you know, it was very small. It was basically like 3 or 4 double wide trailers. So it's very special. As I'm looking out over the parking lot, I've been almost in every single spot, whether I was selling or managing at this location. So this is a special day to celebrate this, and you know, truly focused around even on the fixed ops side. One of the things that we always complained about when this was a Honda store was we only had like 15 bays. And so when we built this store, we doubled it. So we have 30 bays at this location, which is this huge. It goes across the entire, like east to west, it's all bays. Because we know that inside of automotive, one of our best profit centers is fixed ops, you know, and so we lean into that. Even with some of the promotions we just kicked off in the last 60 days, we're seeing immense growth. You know, like we have this acronym of CID. So like it's cars in the drive. So like everything we do, decisions we make, that's what we're trying to do. Drive cars in the drive. And so yeah, it's special. So I appreciate you guys being out here today for this especially.
And Sarah, we're going to get to meet the people of the organization, which really are the heartbeat. You can feel the energy and the sizzle as we walked in today. And again, not just a big day, but again, all the fine little things that you've done, attention to detail to make this happen.
Absolutely. This is not a one-man show by any means. You can see this. Yeah, this takes a village to do this work, and I got the best team, and they agree. They're in lockstep with who we are as a company and what we do, and it's fun. I mean, I always tell people, if at the end of the day, inside of this business, if you're not having fun, there's something wrong, you know. And so everyone's having fun. There's smiles on everyone's faces, and no matter how stressful it is, whether you're getting ready for 300 or 400 people to be here in a few hours, or you know, Ricky's probably stressed that he wants to sell cars while all these people are in his showroom, but it doesn't matter. We're still going to have fun, and that's what it's about inside of this business. It's great.
Well, thank you again. We're going to get to meet the people of the organization, excited about what's ahead. And again, thank you, Ryan. You got the opportunity. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm Ted Ings with Sarah Vantine and Ryan Rohrman. We will be right back.
It's kind of a mix between a sense of pride and solving a problem.
When you are taking on a multi-million-dollar investment, you have one opportunity to do this right.
When the Jim Ellis team came to us, and when really any of our clients come to us, they say, hey, here's this box that this brilliant architect put together, and we need you to help us come up with the best flow put, the best throughput, and really the best design to help us maximize our efficiency in our service department. So when you walk into a finished project like this and you see your design and your layout, the equipment that the team put in. It's a really cool feeling.
Pride. It's just incredible that our small little company can accomplish something this grand, and we do it day in and day out.
If your phones could talk, they'd be asking for Numa. Let's hear it.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have Derek Simonds of Numa with us, and we're going to be talking about how AI is fueling fixed ops profitability. Exciting conversation, Ted.
It is, Sarah. Derek has been telling us about AI for the longest time. It's here. It's now. Derek Simonds, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted and Sarah, thank you. I am always thrilled and delighted to be on the Fixed Ops Roundtable and looking forward to sharing some hard data with your viewers today that I think they can take back to the stores and start implementing on.
Well, Sarah and I took a little bit of a peek before we got started in the green room. It looks exciting. So, Derek, with that, the show is yours.
All right, let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through 3 profit opportunities that are in front of every single service department in the United States. So let's just run through this real quick. When we look at the most profitable service departments, they're not working harder. That's not what they're doing. They're seeing something that everybody else is missing. And one of the big challenges is it's hard to analyze vast quantities of data when you're living in it, right? It's that forest for the trees things. So we analyzed 400 million conversations that have taken place inside of Numa over the last 4 years across all of our dealerships, thousands and thousands of rooftops, because we wanted to see where is revenue won or lost. And there are 3 things that we identified that are critical across every single dealership that we engage with. Number 1 is at point of scheduling. When that customer calls to book an appointment, you have the opportunity to lose the total appointment and not even get them in. You have the opportunity to get the appointment, or you have the opportunity to get the appointment plus some additional revenue. We're going to look at that, and we're going to show you how you can produce additional revenue just from the recommendation during the appointment scheduling. The second one's during the visit. Look, heat cases, negative sentiment, all of that is actually a core driver of revenue loss. We call it silent defection. These are the customers that are upset, that don't complain to executive management, and then just disappear. They never come back. And then after the sale, what happens as we are continuing to engage with that customer through the life cycle, that marketing, that messaging, how do we get them back on a consistent basis? And once we get them back, how do we make sure that we do the right work for them? So let's look at this hidden revenue that's in every single booking. When I talk about added service to us is actually targeted. It's relevant to the customer. It's not just a random, hey, do you want to get wiper blades when you're in here, right? It actually means something to the customer. And when the phone rings, you've really got only 3 minutes to recommend the right additional service once you get talking to a customer. If you look at NADA averages, the average appointment call lasts between 6 and 8 minutes, and they're actually only talking to a dealership employee for 3 to 5 minutes. And so your team has to act and has to act quick. The problem that we see is that the customer's full story lives in 4 different systems. It could be in a service CRM, it could be in the OEM. Like we might have to go look up recalls in Toyota system. It could be in the DMS, right? We're looking up declined service. It might not be in the DMS. It might be actually in the inspection tool because it doesn't push declined service back to the DMS, right? This is an ongoing problem that we see with the tools when they're not connected all the way back to the DMS. So unfortunately, these aren't synced. And so when a customer gets on the phone to schedule an appointment, it's very hard for the person that's scheduling the appointment to know, hey, what's the recall status? What's the declined service status from last time? What's the maintenance due that they should be doing at this time? So that recommendation exists. It's already in your data, your BDC team or your appointment setter, they just can't reach it in 3 minutes, right? And so we actually see that 1 out of every 2 ROs that comes into the shop had declined work from the last visit. 50% of the cars that hit the lane actually had declined service from the last visit that we didn't talk about.
Huge.
We also see that it takes 3 minutes, like I said, when they're talking and the systems aren't synced. So here's what happens. Customer calls in for an oil change. When you're using an AI tool, it can pull the VIN history, it can pull recalls, it can pull declined services. It looks at all of that. It also looks at mileage and campaign eligibility for things that are coming up, right? Are they due for their 30,000, their 60,000, their 45,000 Schedule A service, right? And then it's going to recommend those additional services targeted and direct that are relevant to the customer. That's what makes the big difference, right? And so we see that the average RO that we see is 225. When the AI makes recommendation, we're actually picking up an additional $235 per repair order. And that's 104% median uplift.
It's that big.
It's that big. It's that big. And the thing is, again, targeted, relevant, right? Data driven, not just a random upsell. I'm going to show you how this also plays into marketing when we get to the end, when we start talking about marketing. But this is powerful. Like, this is literally game changing for dealerships. Because if you could do this, right? If you did this on every RO, obviously, you just doubled your profits in a month, right? But you're not going to get it on every RO. But that's the reason why we see when it makes a recommendation, the average is $235. This can be done at dealerships without having to use AI. We actually work with a dealer group in Texas that does this through their BDC. They're running the same kind of numbers, but they have everything in one system. They've done a really good job at making sure they can get all that information from their DMS when the customer calls in. So this can be done by a human. Let's just make sure that we know what the customer needs. We can pull it up, we can communicate, and the team knows how to ask for it. So when you look at this, if you can get 20% adoption on a 500 RO month store, that's another $23,000 per month in service revenue. And that's big. That's game changing for where we're at. So our focus with the AI is automating this process. But like I said, anybody can do this at the store with their BDC. All they need to do is make sure they have access to the data and that they make that presentation. All right. This next part is kind of mind blowing.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about what happens when the customer's in there during the visit. When you look at what happens, and I encourage service managers to do this, call people that didn't come back for service, that defected, and find out why. And it's actually kind of frightening, right? Most of the customers you lose never told you why. You find it out in reviews, in Google review. They never called me back, right? You find out in your CSI score. They didn't fix it right the first time and communication was horrible. And you find out because they just don't come back, right? So most of the time, these are lagging indicators. The service is already done, right?
Yes.
They got their CSI survey in the mail and they sent it back, or they got it emailed to them. So minimum, it's 3 days after they left, but it could be 10 days, 2 weeks, a month later. So the money's gone. That customer's already a defect risk. So when we look at CSI, these are all after the customer left. And 82% of the people that you leave that defect over communication, not the repair. This is nuts. It's not the repair that's causing people to defect, it's communication. We see that 40% of the negative reviews trace to a call that nobody returned. We can literally trace a negative review back to a customer that called into the dealership and never got a return phone call. And 45% of owners are unhappy with their dealership service experience, but they don't tell the dealers, right? This is just the people that are kind of percolating that are out there. So when we look at this, remember, this is over 400 million conversations. What we see is that average dealer is about 133 negative conversations per 1,000. Okay. That's about 1 in 8. Wow. A negative conversation is not a heat case. You're going to see that in just a second. These people are frustrated. They're concerned. They're annoyed. This could escalate. A good AI program is going to flag this while it's happening so that you can get involved while the customer's still in your shop, not after you get a survey and the customer's already trashed you. Right?
Hey, Derek, can we
Yes.
come to Sarah for some color on this? Sarah?
Let's do it.
In the BDC, in the service BDC, does this sound about right?
Oh, yes. And Derek, I'm so glad that you're addressing this because again, like this is the point in the sphere of the conversation where the customer begins that process, and it's what you recognize and adapt to here that makes all the difference.
Yeah. And look, you don't have to have Numa to do this. If you've got Car Wars or Call Review or any other call recording software that's actually tagging sentiment,
yes,
you can get to this data yourself without having an AI. Having the AI just makes it easier because it escalates it and it brings it to the appropriate person's attention instantly instead of going through reporting to find it. But there's ways to handle this. So now this is where it gets interesting to kind of what Sarah just said. When you look at the next level, we actually break out that 133. 36 out of 1,000 or 36 of the 133 are actually what we call heat cases. These are people that are potential lawsuit risk. They are a viral review risk.
Sure.
This is a customer who needs someone to act at this moment in time. This is somebody we are pushing to executive management at the store level going, hey, you got a problem, right? And this is a critical action customer. 97 out of that 133 or 97 per thousand is actually quietly frustrated. They're not yelling, they're not complaining, but they're not happy. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that are the silent defectors that we still escalate, that we still surface, that we're not letting just get away. And you can just do very little minimal action, but a communication from a manager tends to resolve any issues these customers have. And so we're putting in front of you in that way. So if you act on the heat case, right, what we see is a 53% resolution rate on heat cases in our best performing stores. So AI triages and they get it to you, and then the fastest acting scores resolve more than half. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is far and away, this has been documented across multiple different industries. But if you have a customer that's upset and you resolve their problem in a timely fashion, they will tell 10 to 12 people about you in a positive manner. Okay. If you don't, they're going to tell a couple of people about how crappy the experience was and maybe write a bad review. If you're just in the middle of the road, they don't tell anybody, right? So I tell people all the time, when you have a customer that's upset, this is your opportunity to create some marketing for your dealership. Think about the fact that they're going to tell 10 or 12 people about how you resolve the problem. And this becomes really crazy important because when you look at the negative conversations that are hidden from the dealership, it represents about $200,000 at risk per dealership on a monthly basis. And this is the reason why we talk about communications, not a CSAT status or a CSAT metric. It's a revenue metric. Communication is all about revenue. The faster we respond to a customer, the more they'll spend with us. The faster we respond to the customer, the happier that they are. The longer it takes for us to respond, or if we don't respond to a customer, the negative sentiment and the negative dollars that they spend. It's just powerful. This is where we look at it and say, okay, real talk, pay attention to these customers. Don't let them become defectors. And you know what's interesting? Think about in a dealership, okay? You're in the dealership, you're an advisor, and you're actually booking 2 weeks out today for service. How concerned are you if you think somebody's going to leave, right? The people that have to drive this conversation are the executive managers. They're the ones that have to be driving that conversation. So they have to pay attention to it.
Leadership.
Now, after the sale, so we say this all the time. Every single customer that's been in your shop is an appointment waiting to happen, right? And how do we do that? Well, when we look at what we call informational marketing versus promotional marketing, we're seeing an order of magnitude improvement in the actual booking of appointments. So if you do informational, which is a reason, it's a data signal, it's a service the customer needs and they know it, we're actually seeing across all of our dealerships that are doing this, 19% of the people that we message are actually scheduling appointments and showing up at the dealership. If you look at a traditional coupon mailer or a coupon email or a coupon text message, it's a 1.9%, 1.8% booking. Okay. If you send somebody, hey, it's the spring tire event, buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Nobody comes in off of that. Do you know who uses that coupon? The advisor in the lane to try and close the customer on getting tires, right? Am I right, Ted?
That's right. That's
So
every time. Yep.
we don't get action from a customer on a promotional message. We don't. Information drives conversion and it's powerful. So
Sarah, I want to bottle this slide, that last slide. I want to bottle that. That's so powerful.
I do.
Yeah. And I'm gonna break it down even more and tell you which campaigns are the most successful. So if you look, these are 3 things that we think are chances to bring customers back. So maintenance due. This is the biggest opportunity by volume. Every shop has hundreds and hundreds of people that have overdue maintenance. How do you get it? You mine your database, right? We see on maintenance due 16.5% schedule appointments when we message them. That's pretty powerful. Missed appointment recovery. Now, one of the big claims to fame for Numa is that we consistently run about an 89% show rate across all of our dealers with the appointments that are scheduled through our appointment agent, which is powerful. There's still 11% that didn't make it. And that's the ones that we need to be going after for missed appointment recovery, right? And so the AI is actually able to message with that customer, and we're getting a 20% schedule rate out of missed appointment recovery. And then abandoned win back. These are customers who dropped out of your service cycle that we haven't seen in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And the AI is still getting 6% of those, which is 3 times better than what you get from a traditional coupon mailer. So when we look at this, this is where it gets even better, because this is the number that the AI did by itself with no human involvement. What we see proactive dealers do, like Longo, is that they feed the remainder of those customers that did not book back into their BDC. And what do? They go after them. They're doubling these rates. Longo's running 38, 39, 40% close rates on some of the opportunity marketing that they're doing. And it's because what doesn't get caught by the AI and automatically scheduled, they've got that human in the loop that's able to make that outbound call to follow up and to get the appointment. So really powerful. So these are 4 other little looks into some very targeted mailers that are absolutely powerful. Malfunction indicator, right? One of the things that the OEMs are doing today is that they tell us which customers had a malfunction indicator light come on their dash yesterday. We get the file from them, upload it in, AI communicates with the customer. 31.3% of those are scheduling appointments. With the AI, no human involved. It's huge. Recalls are booking right now at a 7.1%. Recalls, we only book appointments with the AI on recalls that we know we have parts availability.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of them are too difficult. They require a human. So we get the engagement with the customer on the recall and then push that to the human in the loop to get them to schedule it, because they need to coordinate on when that customer comes in based upon the availability of parts. Declined services. We see a 3.1% schedule. And it's not huge, but I'm giving you the real numbers.
Yeah.
If you send out a text message 36 hours after the customer leaves with a reason to come back on a declined service, and this is something you can do, anybody can do right now. I'm sure everybody on here is using Sunbit or Affirm or Dignify or somebody to offer financing to customers that can't afford it. Well, what we do is when we text the customer back, we say, hey, your safety, Ted, and the maintenance of your vehicle is of paramount importance to us. When you were last in, your service advisor had recommended the brakes. We want you to know that we have a Service Now, Pay Later program. You can click the link below to get it approved, and we'll go ahead and schedule your appointment. And we're seeing tremendous success just from that. It's logical and it's easy.
Sure.
And look, the reality is Affirm has got what, a 95, 98% approval rate.
Almost
but
100%.
customers don't know that. And they feel awkward, and they don't want to submit an application and get turned down for a brake job, right? But if you text it to them, they will click through that link while they're sitting there watching TV. They will. And then no visit. This is where we say, hey, you're at a 30,000 mile service, or hey, you should be up for your next oil change based upon your last visit and your mileage history. If we can give them a logical reason that their maintenance is due, we're seeing about a 16.5% booking rate there. So I know this is a data-rich presentation. There's a lot of stuff that I threw at you, but I wanted to talk about this because I really believe that any dealership can attack these 3 areas of profitability, whether they got AI or not, right? So that's before the sale, get that appointment scheduled, and offer them the additional services that are logical and are needed. During the visit, let's pay attention to the customers and not have a profit leak because we got silent defectors. And then after the sale, let's use informational marketing, not promotional marketing. Right? If we can be targeted and we can send out that informational marketing, you're going to have much more success at booking those appointments. So there you go, Ted.
Derek, super timely. And Sarah, I mean, this is the latest and greatest and spot on with AI.
It is, Ted, and this is so exciting, Derek, as you mentioned. These are big opportunities for dealerships to really capture their retention and really keep more customers coming into their service department. So congratulations on all that you have built with Numa and all the success you're continuing to see.
Well, thank you.
So now if our audience wants to drill down on these stats and find out how it's going to work for them, Derek, best way is to reach out to Numa.com. You tell us.
Yeah, if you go to Numa.com, there's a request a demo page. You can request a demo. You can email me, Derek@Numa.com. It's super simple, and I'll get you with the right regional sales manager. But we love your audience, Ted. Anything that we can do, even if they just got questions about this, we'd love to talk about it.
Derek Simonds, everybody. Numa is the big name, and he's here on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. So, Derek, thank you very much, and thanks for kicking things off with this and just amazing information. So, everybody, for more information, Numa.com. You can also reach out, email to Derek@Numa.com. Derek Simonds, everybody, from Numa, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you both.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here in Las Vegas for NADA 2026. I'm Vanessa Collins, joined by
Katrina Ness, and we are here with Tasso Vermeliotis in the Numa booth. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Numa. You guys are very prominent in the industry. We have a lot of dealers that know of you guys, but there's also some that don't. So give us a little pitch for the audience.
Sure. So Numa is trying to help the dealerships solve their communication problem. It's actually a full chaos. So think of a system that uses AI to answer the calls, do the right thing for a customer, whether it's booking an appointment, giving a status update, directing to the right person, and then once that customer communication is in the actual store, it's a full system, that communication system that the employees are using, and agents, these AI agents, are helping them do their jobs better. It's a full stack communication problem, not communication product, not just like an AI answering bot.
And so we were talking before the camera started rolling about how Numa is doing something really exciting with CSI. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so if you look at CSI, the way it's a necessary thing. Obviously, dealerships, we care about my profits and my CSI. My CSI is a reflection of my long-term profits. So the problem you face right now is it's based on a survey with about a 5% response rate that comes days or weeks later.
Right.
And it's just a sample, and it's already happened. I'm looking backward to see if I can solve a problem. So one of the things, when we talk about being a communication system, we see all the customer interactions and sentiment. And are you responding to a customer fast enough? Are you courteous, and are you empathetic to the customer? Are you solving their problems so that we can give you a real-time CSI score? So you can look, similar to how you're looking at all your stock quotes, and see how your CSI is doing by following that throughout the day, and if something happens, you're able to solve it. So that's a big, big thing that we've invested in for our dealership partners.
Amazing, and I think a lot of dealers are asking that question, why isn't there a better way to collect that CSI score? And the fact that you guys asked that same question and found a solution to that pain point is just absolutely incredible. So.
Yeah, well, so in my previous life, when I was a grunt consultant at Bain & Company, we were the ones that, were the ones that came up with NPS, which is obviously the standard for a lot of customer satisfaction across the world.
Exactly,
so it was kind of something I geeked out on and took personally.
Truly, and we're really in the people business with this. So in the service department, they thrive off of retention. So getting those CSI scores are so important.
I'll give you an example. If you can solve a heat case, which is obviously a bad CSI, it's like the worst case scenario. And it's we try and help you solve your heat cases, resolve them. We see this astonishing retention, which you mentioned. 60% of the people that have a heat case solved come back within 6 months for another appointment.
Wow.
It becomes your most loyal customer because you've taken somebody from frustrating to I care about you and I'm solving your problem to become actually additionally loyal.
100%, and that's what sticks with them. So that's amazing. We are at NADA 2026. Some call it, the Super Bowl of automotive events. So what are your initiatives and, goals for this convention?
I think get the message out of the new stuff that we're building, like Live CSI. We view that as an industry initiative as well. We want to work with our OEM partners. We want to, AI is moving very fast. Like every 7 months, you're seeing kind of a doubling in capabilities. Yes. So there's a bunch of cool stuff. Like we want, for example, one of the big initiatives we have here is helping your service advisors, triple the amount of work that they can get done using AI. So come and see those kinds of things.
Awesome. That's amazing. Well, Tasso, thank you so much for joining us in this interview and having us in your booth.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
And for those of you online, stay tuned. We have a lot more valuable insights to come.
We're parting the clouds and bringing the sunshine to the service drive. Welcome back to Fixed Ops Week with the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Up next, the Tech Visionary panel with Marco Zwanenburg taking dispatch.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. This is the Tech Visionaries panel. The greats of Fixed Ops are on here. Mike Weldon is with us. Tully Williams, also on the West Coast with Mike. Shon Kingrey down in Tennessee. Don Andres, welcome, on the road. We'll find out where. Marco Zwanenburg will be moderating the panel. And Curtis Gardner also here with us today. Robert Migliaccio from Carter Myers Automotive. I'm thinking back from NADA, we'll find out. And Jim Sabino, the King of the North, All-American Ford Group in New Jersey. Welcome, gentlemen. And Marco, the show is yours.
Well, thank you, Ted. Thank you for the introduction. And thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. And this is going to be a great panel, much anticipated, and one of the longest running, I still think, so we're doing great. So today's topic, I would like to bring to you dispatching in the shop. The effects on morale, the effects on workshop flow, the effects on efficiency, the effects on everything. So I recently had written a little post on LinkedIn about that. Most of you have read it and some of you commented on it. So you know where I'm going with this. And Robert, I'm going to start with you because you had a reply to my post saying that recently CMA had made changes. So I am very curious to hear what those changes are and how they have affected all the positivity that can come out of a correct dispatch.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we did here in our Valley stores that's kind of going through is we've changed our platform to a shop foreman dispatcher, and that person is paid on shop production hours. So it is all about the hours from him, very much still in the context of a flat rate system. Now he gets to share that analogy of how he creates those hours through flat rate to all the other team members in the shop and get them to grow up in it. So a little bit of a turn from what we had. Obviously, we had just a mix of kind of old school, we had a couple team situations that we went through. We had a couple advisor dispatchings, and we really found the best way to pour in was to kind of have somebody in the shop, somebody they all could kind of corral around and really kind of grow with, and somebody who can push the bar for what they're able to do as well, and also monitor, watch, and see what they're doing and help them move through it. So on top of being the foreman and the guy helping teaching, he's dispatching the work. So now we know for sure that the right person's getting the job. We know for sure that they're getting the help they need when they need it. And on top of that, we're making sure they're going home tired and rich, like Tully likes to say.
Excellent. I love to hear that forward motion there, Robert. It's such a great thing to have. Don, coming to you, being out in the field, what do you see on a daily basis when it comes to dispatching? How many stores are doing it right and how many are doing it wrong? And do you see an upswing in wanting to switch to the right side?
Yeah, well, first of all, you see all types. Right? We got centralized dispatch, we got electronic dispatching where we're trying to get the computer to do it, simple groups, lateral supports, and of course the infamous teams. I've seen all of them go well, and then I've seen a vast majority of the same thing crash and burn. And it really is, what's the commitment that the dealer and the fixed ops person, the service manager, is putting into this idea of dispatching? How much of a commitment are they really investing into dispatching? So I've seen it as loose as, the ROs come into a centralized dispatch, like you were just talking about, Robert, and he can't get it out of his office fast enough. He can't get it out to that tech fast enough. And he does ultimately lose control of the RO. It's somewhere in the shop. And the end result is that he really isn't being effective. The worst problem we have is if they don't understand that the dispatch is the hub. It is ultimately the hub. We want all the information to flow into that hub, and we want to have all the answers in that hub, which means part availability. If we've ordered them, we want to know that the authorization happened. We want to know which technician is freeing up for the job. We want to know is the RO moving through at the right pace based on the commitment we made to the customer in promise time. Dispatcher needs to know all those and have all those answers. One of the worst things that I see, and you'll appreciate this, Marco, is the advisors don't get the answer from their dispatcher. So what do? They drift into the shop. And now they walk up to a technician. He's got his head under a hood. He's trying to figure something out. And we're going, hey, you know that other job that's on your box? Any idea when you might be able to get that done? Why are you bothering me? Get out of my bay. No, I have no idea, And so the end result is they don't get the information they need. So now they go back up to the customer and they make some ambiguous statement to them. We're working on it. And the customer says, well, how long? I'm not sure. And so the vicious circle continues, right? So now the customer's calling again for status 2 hours later, 3 hours later, because he doesn't know. Whereas the dispatcher ultimately could and should have all of that information, so the writer can go right to dispatch, get the answers he needs, goes back and has a real understanding of how that RO is moving through the shop.
Excellent. Thanks. Thank you so much, Don. Curtis, coming to you as a technician, not only is proper dispatching is a direct tie to how many hours we will flag that week and how good we will do, but from a different perspective, as a morale perspective, how does it irk you to see a car that is dripping with gravy and that could have hundreds of recommendations on it, well, slightly overstated, going to the wrong person and the car leaves without having the proper diagnosis and the proper write-up done? Morale speaking, how important is dispatching on a technician's point of view?
Dispatching can make or break morale in the shop. You can give the right tickets to the wrong people, whether it's diag or gravy. Ultimately, the more certified technicians need to have a balance of both, and some of the younger technicians need to have a balance of both, and they need to kind of elevate and test their skills. If the tickets are being handed out or dispatched, what some might say is unfairly, you're going to start killing the morale in the shop, and some of those technicians, even whether they're qualified or not, sometimes that's going to really bring down the desire to continue to want to flag. They're going to start maybe blaming the dispatcher or blaming a system. So it's important that if the dispatcher does hand out those tickets, it maybe gives a quick explanation on, hey, I'm giving you this ticket so you can learn this, or I'm giving you this ticket so you can get better at that. Instead of just, because if there's not a small explanation, it's easy to misinterpret why those tickets are getting handed out to those people. And I mean, I've done it myself. It's one of those things is if you get the ticket and it's a bad warranty ticket and you get a couple of those in a row, it's easy to get lost and just think that the whole system's out to get you. So I think it's, regardless of the system of dispatching, I think it's important of who's dispatching. It's a true leader, somebody that is looked up to and a mentor for the entire shop, and not necessarily someone who's just out to hand out the gravy.
Excellent. I couldn't agree with you more. It is so important for morale to keep a good mix of work going. Shon, you being in a relatively new store to you, how is dispatching going in your store right now? And is there anything you would like to change, or have they figured it out?
I think, good question. By the way, great topic, Marco. I got to say, prior to me getting here, they had a dual shop foreman role. To Robert's point, that they were dispatching, but definitely the overall consensus was there was some favoritism. Everybody was hoarding this and keeping it on their groups because they have an amazing apprenticeship program here. Prior to me getting here, they hired a retired Ford shop foreman. By the way, this is a GM store, and they hired a shop foreman from a Ford store. But his pay, the only change we're going to make is, so listen, you're not gonna blow smoke up his rear end, okay? Because he gets it, he knows it, he's done it forever. Harley rider, tattooed, got a ponytail, got it all going on. By the way, everything you're imaging, he's got it. The techs aren't going to bully him, okay? And funny thing is, the only thing I would say differently is we're always going to tee off of Tully. He needs to be incentivized off the hours, because the one thing everybody does, as everybody knows, is they work their pay plan. All right, you want more hours, he gets it. The funny part is, I'm not going to say that there's bribing going on, but I will say he's not afraid to take treats like he has a sweet tooth to get better tickets. I mean, this man eats more sweet stuff. And by the way, his wife is a mortician, which makes the jokes even funnier if you know the truth. But the point being, this man eats more treats and more sweet stuff during the day than anybody you've ever seen in your entire life. And I narc him out to his wife every time I get a chance. Because the funny other part is, when I first got here, my first week, one of the technicians in the shop went toe-to-toe with him, like they're arguing. I'm going, are you an idiot? This guy controls your workflow. And she came up to me 2 or 3 weeks later and goes, I'm not getting any gravy. You think? The guy who controls the heartbeat of the shop, you cut his artery, okay? Near and dear to my heart here, okay? So listen, is it working? It's working well. Have we maybe outgrown the one person thing? I think so, because I think what happens is, and I think it was Don that said it, you see the characteristic of him when he gets overwhelmed, he can't get it off his desk fast enough. When he's under control and the process is working and you don't have, because we'll do 150 tickets a day easily custom. And when he gets overwhelmed, you got to hang on, because then he starts to dish the tickets out because the stack builds up and he gets a little nervous. And once we work through that, and it may, like I said, it may be bigger than a one-person job, but yeah, the dispatching system here works. But to the point, and I'm not trying to ramble on here, I've seen it not work in stores, and it will break a store in a second.
Thank you, Shon. And really glad to hear that everything is going well in your new store. That makes it so much easier for you to walk in there and, just do your thing. So, Mr. Williams, all about the hours. How does correct dispatching affect the hours, and what has the Niello company done to ensure a proper flow?
Great question. So our 10 stores, we dispatch differently in almost every store. We have a true dispatching system that works at our Acura store, and that's where there's an actual central dispatch. They all come up, and it works brilliantly at that store. 2 foremans in the shop and full dispatch. It works great because the dispatcher's engaged. Just so you know, if you bring sweets to the dispatcher for favoritism, I fire you. Just so you know. Let's get that out there. So the issue is we want to be fair. And the way we keep it fair is we track their hours by what kind of jobs they do, how much percentage is warranty, how much percentage is maintenance, how much percentage is repair. We want to make sure everybody's treated well, and it's also transparent, because what is the first thing they do when they have a bad job? They blame the dispatcher or whoever gave them the job. So the goal is going to be is we want to make sure we spread the hours out. Then we have the team system. We do that in our BMW stores. They've been doing it for years. 3 huge teams, 6 to 8 technicians on that team. That team leader is basically a mini foreman in that group, and it works well. The team works well. They do pass jobs between teams if there's someone qualified, but that team works well. Why? Because the GM and the service manager and the actual foreman at our BMW stores engaged in making sure it happens. Again, we are making sure that everybody gets the same qualified hours, that make sure that we have the same amount of warranty as we do customer pay and maintenance. And then we have the good old-fashioned foreman dispatch. That's usually in our smaller stores. And to me, that's more of a traditional dispatching system where you have a dispatcher. He also has a dual role as a foreman. Most of our Europeans, don't have working foremans. I don't know why, but we have to do it that way. So that foreman does have some spare time unless he's pretending that he's busy working on something else. But the goal is going to be to make a dispatcher work. Is he engaged? Is your service manager engaged to make sure everybody's being treated fairly? Is everybody hitting 130 to 150% of their hours? Is everybody going home rich and tired? And if that is because of dispatching, we will fix it instantaneously, because as everybody says on this panel, a bad dispatcher will destroy the shop, but a great dispatcher will make a technicians rich and tired in a shop that comes in at 150%.
Absolutely. You were so right when it comes down to especially if you have multiple stores, to treat every store differently and find out what works for every store. Mike Weldon, coming to you, both from a retired service position now, but being a fixed ops coach now out in the field like Don, what systems do you see that work and what systems do you see that fail? Most of my experience lays with failing systems. It is going to be dispatcher by the advisor, which is just an all over bad idea. So what is your take on that, Mike?
Well, taking off of what Tully said, I've seen every system out there. And the biggest thing is that that I'm seeing is most people haven't put enough thought into how they arrange the process by identifying the needs of the shop, identifying the skill set in the shop, and identifying the importance of getting the work through the shop. They just throw it out in the shop, and it's mayhem. And the technicians are generally up in arms. They're upset. I sat in an arbitration case here recently regarding a technician that felt that he was being dispatched unfairly. So that's a non-productive technician, but he's a highly productive technician if you motivate him in the right way to make sure. I don't know if treats would get him there, Shon, but
I can tell you, Mike, it doesn't hurt.
All these technicians want to do is come to work, and make a good living. As has been said, go home rich and tired and a little sweaty. But if we can just get there, we just make it so complex on our technicians, and that is the engine of the whole machine. And we need to make it simple so that these guys and gals are as productive as they can be. And by mixing up the work mix. And that way you need to, and most guys don't even know the skill set of their technicians or gals, whoever's managing the shop. They don't even know the skill set. They're just overrun by this work. So they just throw it out in the shop, and it's ineffective. It doesn't get done in a timely fashion. It doesn't get fixed right. Wrong recommendations sometimes come back. Technicians are frustrated. And if we just need to stop, take a breath, pick a system, regardless what it is, whether it's a Teams platform or a dispatch platform or ERO. I've seen them all work. I've used them all myself. And you just have to stick by it, and you have to really work it and get input from your techs. I think that's the biggest thing that we eliminate. We don't get enough input from the people that are actually performing the work. We do that, you'll have more wins than you'll have losses.
Absolutely. Well said, Mike. Jim, my All-American friend, coming to you. So how do you handle the dispatch over at All-American Ford? And does have mobile service have an impact on how dispatch is ran?
Mobile service is completely separate from our dispatch traditional setup. It runs on its own. It's like a business within a business, Marco. So, and that's all handled. The routing and everything is all handled through our mobile service team, mobile service coordinators, things like that. So that works really well. The dispatching, again, incredible, insight from everyone in here. And, going last is a tough one because I don't want to repeat, but I'm just going to give you my little quick view on this. And some of it's going to be repetitive. So the dispatcher, in my opinion, is 100% a make or break of that shop. There's no doubt in my mind that it can be successful a week of productive of hours, producing hours, or it could be a disaster. And you can ruin a good technician. You can, because you can just give him one bad job after the next, and it's just going to put them in a position where they don't even want to go up and see you because they know they're going to get dumped on. You can ruin good advisors by having their waiters sit too long in a pile without being, hey, we got to get technicians on these. This waiter's been in my pile for an hour and it hasn't been in the shop yet. So what's going on? Where are my quick lube technicians? Where's the holdup? Or, is there something that I need to have a technician, a meeting with the advisors and say, hey, we're running really behind. Someone's going to be freed up. 2 guys are going to be freed up in the next 10 minutes. Just let you know, touch base with your customers. We're on this. And so nobody's forgotten. I'm a big fan of dispatch to the technician's strength, not their weakness. So if you have somebody in a good drivability position or a good electrical, I'm going to, and you want to be a level playing field. You do. You don't want to favor one technician or another, but you 100%, in my opinion, you need to dispatch to their strength, what they're good at, what their wheelhouse is, and that's where I'm thinking you're going to get your best turnaround, your best production, your best workmanship. You're going to get all that. You're going to, minimize your comebacks, because if you give an electrical problem to a technician that really isn't good in electrical, most likely it's going to take too long to fix it, or it's going to come back. So play to their strengths, use their skill set to your advantage, and make sure that the low hanging fruit, the gravy jobs, are equally distributed, and everybody gets a fair share of that pie, and that there's no favoritism, and there's no this, and the dispatcher has his favorite technicians that he gives all the brake jobs to and all the services, and you have to get away from that, and don't ever go down that rabbit hole, because it's hard to get out of it. Be fair, support your technicians when needed, help them, if a car's buried in the parking lot or missing keys, don't let them wait around for a porter to find the keys. Give them another job. Don't let them be a victim of that downtime. And that's all part of the dispatching. So, use your head, be smart, and keep in mind that their time is the most valuable commodity that they have.
Awesome, Jim. Thank you. So I've heard from 7 industry veterans here who all have different perspectives, but all sound like we're on the same line. So dispatching is extremely important for FFV, for workshop flow, for retention when it comes both to customers and technicians, for upselling, for having the proper time estimates ready for the customer. So we're working right into the under promise and over deliver here. So my question to each and every one of you is going to be the same question. With dispatch being so important on so many different levels in the fixed ops system, how can we justify making it a specialized position, not to be done by a shop foreman, not to be done by anyone else, but a specialized position? And Jim, since you were last, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. So how do you change the question is, how do you change the culture and to put more spotlight on this position? Is that what
my question is, like, could we justify making the dispatcher a specialized position within the fixed operations, within the shop? So not having it done by a shop foreman, not having it done by a team leader, but a specialized position, since it is really such a specialized procedure that has to be done.
It is. You need all the information that the team leader or shop foreman, they all have that. So they know the skill levels of the technicians. So it's important. Yes, it is. It's culture within each organization. How far do you want to push it? Where do you want to set your department up to succeed, or do you want to set your department up to fail? This is a key and critical position that can make or break your department in any given day, week, or month. There's no question about it. And I'm a firm believer, if there is so much attention that needs to be given to that one single role, that dispatcher, because there's so many people involved, the technicians, the service advisors, and then ultimately the customer, right? The customer is going to pay the price if it's not gone through the system properly. Time, comeback, workmanship issues, or done correctly, proper multi-point inspections. You can give a service writer can write up a ticket with 45,000 miles on it, know that, there's something there, the customer's ready. I kind of set the stage at write up, and then the dispatcher gives it to, Tom over there who, is half blind or doesn't, there could be metal cords coming through the tires, and he'll do the oil change and put the car outside. And that's, where the technician, obviously that's a technician issue, but the dispatcher needs to be aware of the cars that have the potential have to go to the proper technicians that are going to do the proper multi-point inspections and report on the needed work, the necessary work, 100%. So yes, it is 100% a specialized position that needs more attention.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Miggs, let's come to you, my friend. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's definitely something that can be formalized into its own position by itself. I think ultimately what the shop's needs are is going to dictate where that goes to. And down the road, as you build it and develop it, it's going to naturally turn itself into what it needs to become. Like a lot of people have said on here, it may start off as a shop foreman dispatching, and as things grow and progress, it's going to naturally turn into a dispatching job and role only as you continue to develop, grow the team, have them support the shop foreman and what he's doing, and then naturally it's just going to become a dispatching position at the end of the day. So it's going to grow to that if it's done right and done correctly. It's going to happen on its own. It's not something that needs to be a question of. It's going to be at that point because he's not going to have any other time other than making sure the vehicle's in the right location, making sure the technicians are working busy and going home tired, and ultimately making sure they're upholding what the customer's requests are at the end of the day. So it's a win-win across the board, either way you look at it. I think naturally it's just going to, when done right, it's going to progress right into that role automatically on its own without even having to ask a question about it. So
I like that approach, like an organic transition into the separate position. Shon, how would you like to free up 2 shop foremen to assist technicians in learning and growing, pounding out that FFV and that CSI when you have a dispatcher all by himself? What do you think?
Well, I think to answer your question, Marco, it's a good question. I think we're already there. I think, to me, a dispatch, again, you have a lot of leaders obviously on this, there's nobody new that's on this call or not on this segment. I think we're already there. To me, dispatcher, warranty administrator, BDC, they're 3 things. All they're doing is making sure the advisors are selling hours and the technicians are turning hours. That's really what they're doing. And again, I think we've all agreed the one consensus across the board here is the dispatcher's the lifeblood. You know, the BDC fills the drive, but that dispatcher is the one that makes sure it comes out the other end. Yes, we need the techs to turn the hours, but we need the right techs during the right jobs at the right times.
Excellent. Thank you, Shon. Curtis, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's an importance for a sole dispatcher, but I think maybe to highlight a different point of view is maybe a dispatcher, regardless of if they're the shop foreman, that isn't also flagging hours. I think sometimes, one, it's more responsibility to flag hours, be a shop foreman, and dispatch tickets. When you take the dispatcher off of flagging his own hours, I think the ticket dispatching amongst the shop kind of, it changes because that dispatcher has probably more experience in the shop. They've been there for longer. And so then they're more responsible for dispatching that work to help grow the shop, to make sure that it gets done fast, that the customers are taken care of. And so it gives them the ability to learn more about their technicians, learn more about the advisors and where the strengths are versus the weaknesses, and help their team grow without having to worry about flagging their own hours and, maybe taking on more than they can chew.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Thank you, Curtis. Mike, what is your angle?
I love an effectively set up electronic dispatch system with an overseer. I just think it frees up so much mental fatigue that most people have trying to figure out how to dispatch work through the shop, that if you're willing to put in the work and you design the system based on a technician's skill and ability, it will automatically, based on when they're completed the job, the next job based on their skill will pop up for them. The overseer's responsibility, however, is those, as we call them, gravy jobs or specific jobs. Those can be fed into the system so that technician either gets a relief if he's had back-to-back heavy-duty type work or diagnostic work, and allows them to take that breather, or if it's a specific job that fits right in their preview, then it'll go directly to them. But it requires effective communication. Hey, John, I'm going to be giving you this particular job. This customer actually requested you. He's worked with you before. You fixed his car before, and I just want to let you know it's coming your way. I mean, it all gets down to communication and how we set this up. At the end of the day, regardless what system we use, if we don't communicate effectively with the people doing the end work, it just breaks down. It just gets so complicated and it breaks down, and then the end result is no one's happy and the customers are paying the price for it.
Absolutely. Good points. Don, your take, my friend.
Yeah, I think the question you want to always ask is, if it's a small store, it's very possible the service manager himself is dispatching the work. I got 5 technicians, whatever it is. But the real question you want to ask, Marco, is where is the state of the union right now? Do you have control of that repair order moving through the shop? Are technicians lost and not being recognized that they've been lost, all because we dispatched it away and there it is wallowing along in that shop? So a great question you want to ask is, am I broken right now? can I, at any given time, have a status of exactly where an RO is in the process? And yeah, electronically, it might be labeled that way, but what is the plan to get that done? So I will tell you, a great dispatcher always has a plan, knows what's being carried over, knows when technicians are going to be freed up, and is already mapping a day out for a technician so that he doesn't have to think about it. If he doesn't have to think about it, we're going to have a great day. If he's always one job ahead of that technician, we're going to have a great day. And when he recognizes that a technician should have been done with this an hour ago, a half hour ago, why isn't he back up here for another job? Why isn't he closing out? This is in real time. And so a service manager watching this right now needs to ask, at any given moment, do I know where everything is in the shop and is it moving? And that's a great question as to whether or not I need to fill that position with a permanent position, a permanent guy. And it'll be an obvious answer. It'll be an obvious answer. And you're right. I think we have to value this as the hub of the organization.
All right. Thank you, Don. Tully, last but definitely not least, since you have multiple stores with multiple different dispatching tactics, what is your opinion about this?
So let's just go back, back in our era, dispatchers were part of the system. And then 20 groups came around, and then dispatchers were expensive. And then we kicked them all out. And that's how teams started, is that we were trying to save money. But here's what we want to think about is when you say, should I have a dispatcher at my store, a person that does nothing but that, or does the team system work, or does a foreman work? It's whatever the store needs here. I don't think we should say this needs a dispatcher, this needs a foreman. I think every store works differently, and you got to find out what makes that store tick. So stores that have a dispatcher, that person's well-trained, knows everything that's going on in the shop. His jobs might be a little bit more encompassed. He is checking with parts, making sure parts coming in, pulling parts, making sure things are out in the shop, doing all the extra things that a dispatcher needs to do. I call that a larger shop, or a shop that needs a little bit of love in organization. Then you get to the shops that say are 8, 10, 12 technicians. A foreman can usually handle it. But is your technicians trained and monitored and are rich and happy every day, right? If your shop is half rich people and half poor people, it ain't going to work. And the goal is going to be, as a dispatcher, has to make sure everybody's rich and tired at the end of the day. You can't have one superstar and 8 guys barely making it. Everybody needs to go home with 15 hours a day. That's what we want every day. So your dispatcher, your team leader, your foreman has to be involved in that. And guess what? Your service manager needs to be engaged in that on a daily and weekly basis. And then you get back to the team system, which is the same way. Teams here are a group of 5 to 8 people in a team based on your shop. Does that work for your shop? But here's the thing. You got to make sure your technicians are trained. If you have separation of, I have the great guys, I have the okay guys, and I have the guys I just had to hire, that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all in a shop. Our goal is where they are in their training stages, but the goal is going to be is I want them all to succeed. And if we have ourselves separated in a shop like that, your shop's going to have rich people and shop's going to have poor people, and your shop morale will go down. So the goal is going to be is I can't answer the question, does it need to have a specialized dispatcher? It's based on the shop that you have, and how do I motivate all the technicians to be 15 hours per day?
Excellent points. Excellent point, Tully. Thank you. Well, Ted, I think that the tech visionaries have delivered once again on a very important issue going on right now, is the dispatching. So I hope that everybody watching gets some great information out of this. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating. And gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Let's keep this going.
Marco, it sounds like rich and tired needs to be a metric that we track in fixed operations now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm 100% with you there.
All right.
It's not on your Excel sheets, guys? I thought it was on mine.
It's right next to the cupcake count.
Marco. Mike Weldon, Tully Williams, Don Andres, Shon Kingrey, Jim Sabino, Robert Migliaccio, Curtis Gardner, and the one and only Marco Zwanenburg. Everybody, what would Marco do? So I appreciate everybody being here on the great panel, Tech Visionaries, and more to come here on the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
MyKarma's Tech Video Grader is a major enhancement to Service Cart Video MPI. It looks at every tech video, helping management and techs improve video inspections with objective feedback. Each video is reviewed by our AI engine, evaluating audio and visual cues that measure its content against the customized inspection checklist each technician is required to follow. Detailed reporting offers deep insights on video inspections, including month-to-month quality trends about the dealership or dealer group, easy identification of high-performing techs, and the ability to take a deep dive into their overall performance. Tech Video Grader makes sure that what's sent to the customer has maximum impact, leading to more recommendations, improved CSI, and the highest brand standards. MyKarma's Tech Video Grader, another innovation built on collaborative workflow AI.
The data is in and it's got opinions. Let's see what dealers are really thinking and where the smart money is moving with Cox Automotive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Bella Smylie, joined with Ted Ings and one of our very good friends from Cox Automotive, Skyler Chadwick. Welcome, Skyler.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here today to talk with you guys and to the rest of the dealerships who are listening and our fans here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, for sure.
Wonderful.
Skyler, great to have you back. I know we've got an exciting segment ahead. Bella, congratulations. You just graduated at Northwood University, and Bella's going to help ask the questions today, Skyler. And Bella, you're going on to the master's program shortly, right?
I am, yes. In August, I start a full 12-month accelerated Master's of Business Administration.
Very good.
Thank you.
A special thanks to Cox Automotive for their great support of Northwood University and this passionate pipeline of people entering the industry. Skyler, it's always great to see. It's very refreshing and it provides a lot of energy to the entire industry.
Hey, I'm excited to be here today. I can't tell you, it's an exciting time right now for fixed ops and for dealerships. It's a year to remember of fixed ops, and it really is the year for dealerships to really focus on fixed ops. And I hope they're listening to us today, because that is where they truly need to be working to fix and to really make it a seamless process for their customers, for sure. So we're excited to talk about some things today, for sure.
I know you've got some great information. I'm going to turn the show over to you, my friend. And Skyler Chadwick, the show is yours.
Yeah, awesome. So we just released our Cox Automotive consumer ownership study, and I'm so excited to talk about some of these amazing data points that we have talking about here today. And it's interesting to me. I don't think it's anything new to dealerships. We know that the age of a vehicle is growing on the road. I don't think there's nothing to hide there. But what's interesting to me is that when we think about consumers and holding onto their vehicles longer, how does that impact the dealership? And one of the things that I see about that is that 5-year mark, right? The length of ownership of a vehicle. And what I mean by that is, like, how does that impact dealerships? How does that impact the way we actually source vehicles in the front end and work together as a service and front end of the business to make that happen? And so when I think about that, we're starting to lose some of those customers at that 5-year mark at the dealership. And it's interesting to me is when we look at some of the data points, we're actually losing customers at 1 to 2 years and taking those their service and their business to those general repair shops, which we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. But it's not a hidden I don't think gem that we know that vehicle ownership is longer. But what does that mean for the dealership? And it really means that, hey, we really got to focus on making sure that we're taking care of the customer, that we're focusing on CSI. How do we retain that customer in our ecosystem and our dealership? And most importantly, we'll talk about some of those numbers about what that service customer is saying about their next vehicle purchase and who they're going to buy their next vehicle from, for sure. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So what's interesting and what's kind of scary about this a little bit too is when we look at some of those ownership vehicles of age and so forth, is that we're starting to see those customers drop off at that 1 to 2 year mark at the dealerships. So dealerships, we're actually seeing them actually fall a little bit. So we've lost 12% of our customer base to the OEM dealerships across the country. And you can kind of see where it's kind of grown in that general repair quite a bit over the last couple of years. And you can see on the left-hand side here, you can see that 300,000 independent general repair shops that have come into the market now. So dealerships, that competition is getting more fierce, it's getting stronger, and you're really having to fight for that customer to make sure that you get them into the dealership. And we'll talk about some of the things that our key dealerships, our really high performers, are doing to make sure that they retain those customers in those spectrums too as well. So good stuff here for sure.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah, and so what we want to do is we really want to focus on that decline. This decline of dealership shares of service is really amongst the contributing factor to as well. So as you can see, I keep on talking about that 1 to 2 year mark of customers coming back. And it's surprising to me. You wouldn't think that a customer that has a vehicle that's under warranty would start to think about taking their car to a general repair shop. And it's starting to make me think and wonder, is like, what's really going on and things like that. And we'll talk more about like, hey, how do we set up our scheduler correctly, right? What are the things that the consumers are looking at? And there's a buzzword out there that's been out there for a long time, and it's AI. And we as dealerships have got to start thinking, our customers are now starting to use AI. And if you think about myself, I could go to any of my family members or yourselves, and I guarantee you, we have some form of chat GPT or Claude on our phones. Your customers are doing the research on you dealerships, and it's starting to accumulate. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure we protect ourselves as a dealership so we don't lose those customers at that time frame. So yeah, and this is a big number. This one kind of is shocking to me a little bit. And so when we start thinking about our customers, when a customer buys a vehicle, we have to start thinking about that is a $12,000 plus customer cost that they're planning on in service in their dealership of the life expectancy of a vehicle. So if you think about that, we got to start attaching that hard number to our customers. So when we sell a vehicle to a customer, a new vehicle to a customer, we're telling you at Cox Automotive, our study is showing that there is a hard number of $12,000 that customer is planning on spending on the life of that vehicle of ownership. And so that 1 to 2 year mark falling off and going to a general repair, that is going to start to hit that into that checkbook at the end of the day. And we're going to really start to see that impact. And so it's so important that we start looking at the full picture, not just looking at that 1 to 2 year. We got to start looking at the full customer's journey of their servicing their vehicle at the dealership for sure. So
that's a huge number. And this is a very important slide, Skyler. I didn't realize that, but this really is glaring.
Yeah, it is glaring here. And, we're not the Tully Williams, our other friend here, the Fixed Ops Roundtable, but, that's probably some of those higher dealerships. But as an average, you really got to start thinking about, wow, every customer we sell a new vehicle to, they're planning on spending $12,000 or plus more throughout their life of their service in their dealership. And that's money into our pockets. So we got to make sure we really focus on the customer experience for sure and retain that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes. And this is an interesting conversation here. When do our customers actually start thinking to turn the table on their vehicle? When do I start thinking about maybe do I now start looking at options of trading in that car? What is that benchmark that customers now, when you make a recommendation to them in their vehicle and that cost of that recommendation is $3,000 and above, that's when that customer is starting to really start to think about, do I put that into my service? Do I put that back into my car? Or do I start looking at options to trade that in? And one of the things I started thinking about, we got to do a lot more work when it comes from the front end to the back end of the dealership and working together to make sure, because guess what? Here at Cox Automotive, we could tell you if they've been on Auto Trader. We could tell you if that customer's been looking at specific vehicles. Are they in the buying mood, right? Have they been on KBB? Have they been looking on those specific things? And we can help dealerships really kind of determine, is that customer in the buying mode? And then helping our service departments understand is that, hey, when a customer is looking at $3,000 more in service, we got to start thinking about how we present those recommendations to them to make sure that we can help them retain them in the customer's situation. But then you also see here that 33% number there, highly recommended of getting a trade-in valuation on their car. 33% of consumers want a trade-in value on their car when they come in for service. So what does that tell me? That basically 1/3 of our customers are telling me, what is my car value today? How do I make that decision, right? Do I put that $3,000 into my car if the service plan gets up to that much? And so we've got to do a much better job as a dealership to making sure that our customers understand the value of their car. Is it time to trade it in, right? What's the value of that car 3 months from now? So we are showing that data, and it's really interesting to me that only 33% of our consumers want that value on their car. And it's astonishing to me for sure.
I agree.
Okay. Dealership fixed ops revenue growth, right? I think all of us can sit there and say, right, dealership growth profitability is up, but dealership shares are gone down. And so even though that our growth in dollars have grown up, which we all know can contribute that to parts and labor increases and those types of things, but the dealership shares have continued to decline since 2018. So even though that our profitability is going up and the gross profitability of a service and fixed operations platform in our dealership shares are going down. And so we got to make sure that we're really focused on that customer experience and really focused on making sure that that customer comes back to our dealership. And don't make it hard on them. We've got to find ways to make it easy on them to get back to the dealership.
This is powerful stuff, Skyler. Great stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Price perception. This has been an amazing conversation over the last couple of years that I've had. Now, I know that when you look at these numbers, average customer spend per RO, you look at, hey, we're losing business to these general repairs, but is it really benefiting the consumer? The answer is no, they're not. It's not benefiting the consumer because the average spend of that customer is actually higher at general repair than the actual dealership. So that means that dealerships are doing a great job in pricing their services correctly. What we're doing a not so good job is making it easier on our customers to get back into the dealership, right? I think of two things that in a service scheduler, there's two things that kind of either deflect me as a consumer if I'm going to bring my car in for service at the dealership. One of them is pricing. The other one on top of that is timing, right? If a customer has had their service light on their vehicle for the last week and they finally get to the time to schedule that appointment at the dealership, and you tell them and it's 2 weeks out, that customer doesn't have time to think about that. And the other factor that before they even get to that time factor, they see the pricing of that. Are we displaying pricing of those services accurately to our customers? I can tell you right now, I had to schedule my truck to a couple large dealerships in this area that are OEM dealerships. And I have to tell you, I went to all three of them. Not one of those three could tell me what was going to cost me to get an oil change on my truck. And to me, that can't happen, right? We've got to change that philosophy. So dealerships, you have the advantage right now. Our data is showing that you have the advantage here to making sure that you can regain that customer's experience, right? Show them why the value is so important, right? And if you think about those $275 and $261, what's the advantage of going between a general repair shop and a OEM dealership to have your vehicle serviced? I guarantee you, you're not getting pictures, you're not getting videos of those recommendations, you're not getting a OEM certified technician to look at your vehicle to tell you what's wrong with it. So the other important thing is I want to talk about here, that 55% number. 55% of consumers that say they have a quality customer experience at their dealership, they're 55% more likely to buy their next vehicle at your dealership. So put that factor into there. You got winning numbers here. Customers are willing to spend $12,000 or more in service over the life of their actual ownership of that vehicle. The other one, you're pricing your much better competitive set. And number three, guess what? General repair shops, they're not buying cars. Dealerships buy cars. So that's the experience that we really got to focus on. And that 55% is that number where I think about today is, how do we bring the actual service and parts and also the front of the business closer together, because it's a team effort to make sure that we keep that customer in our ecosystem.
Yeah, Skyler, you kind of touched on that team effort, and this slide actually brought up a question that I have. If service kind of becomes that main growth driver, how should the dealerships rebalance the focus between variable and the fixed operations?
It's a team effort, and I will tell you, the front end should be looking at every single customer that's coming through the service lane. And here's why. Because I can't think of a better car to buy that has a higher CR value than the auctions, right? If you know that customer has been servicing your vehicle at your dealership, that's a car you want because you know the history of that vehicle. And so at the front of the business, they should be looking at every service appointment. Does it meet our business strategy? Does that meet our strategy? Is this a car that we need? And the other question is that customer in a buying mode? And the other question is, when they came through service, is there high expenses, right? Are there things that the consumers now starting to think about trading that vehicle in? Do we have a vehicle that matches that customer's needs? So when I think about that, when you ask that question, Bella, that is where dealerships, we're going to have to work harder nowadays, but we got to work smarter with the tools that we have, the software tools we have, that those datas are now coming together to connect that story to make that a better experience for sure. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great point, Skyler. Very strong.
Yeah. All right. Talking about high performer dealerships, right? What are we seeing in high performance dealerships? What are they doing? One, the customer goes into the scheduling tool. They see pricing of their services that they're looking for. Don't hide pricing. Trust me, your customers are doing AI. They're going to Kelley Blue Book and looking at service and repair costs. They're looking everywhere, right? They're asking ChatGPT, where's the best place to get an oil service, right? And a lot of that data is getting posted out there with those service campaigns and so forth. You're fighting against your competition, which is your general repair shops today. So that's my biggest key right there. The other one is making sure that we are opening up white space. I don't think we're doing a great job in managing white space. And what I mean by white space is all the unused opportunity we have to bring customers in. I think about Ed Roberts. He's done a great job in creating white space in his group. And the reason is because he's actually able to take his mobile servicing business and actually allowing that business to take care of itself outside of that. So that way, when the customers bring their car to the dealership, we have a full shop capacity of white space to really open that up. And so I think he's a prime example here for dealerships to follow in the actual industry. When we talk about white space, we've got to make sure that we're opening it up, right? Making sure that our parts quotes are being done in a timely manner. I looked at the data the other day. I was seeing some averages of parts departments taking 18 to 20 minutes to do a parts quote. That's taking way too long, right? Especially if you have a customer in the waiting lounge and then it's taking another 10 to 15 minutes. Think about that. That's over 30 minutes of wasted time that our dealerships our customers are waiting for a response on their vehicle if there is recommendations. So we've got to speed that up. And I think that will contribute to that white space that I'm talking about, of that unused opportunity to capitalize on those specific things too. I think the other thing that our other high-performing dealerships are doing, they're changing the focal point of when the best time to bring their cars in. So with X time schedule, right, it's one of our tool capacities that we have here at Cox Automotive, is that having your campaigns tied, right, offer special discounts for customers in the afternoon, right? Offer 5 to 10% off of their oil change if you bring it in between the hours of 1 and 3. Change the focal point of the prime time to get things done in the morning time, right? Everybody wants to bring their car in the morning. Well, why? Because they think they're going to get it done and they're going to be able to get out of the dealership and get on with the rest of the life. But if we can start changing that focal point, then guess what? We have hungry techs that are actually working on their bench every morning. And then we have hungry techs that are not sitting on their bench in the afternoon. So that is the key factor there, right? Making sure that we emphasize and we're using things that really matter most. And so when I think about high performers, it's really my biggest point is right now is we got to do a better job of managing that white space and really opening that white space so that we don't have customers who would then deflect to these general repair shops and causing a lot of grief for the dealerships. Because, right, that's every customer we lose, that's $12,000, right, of opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then if you look at this high performance, look at that. The technology improves, right? I talk about it all the time. Video and pictures sell, right? That is the biggest factor when we think about video and pictures. And Belle, you talked about the front end and the back end working with each other. Guess what? What if I were to tell you, if I was to buy that car and my technicians taking pictures and videos of that vehicle, the health check of that vehicle, we know what it is. How does that help us put a better ACV value on that car, right? Helping dealerships protect their gross profitability. So when it comes back to the front end and back end working with each other, technology is a huge part of the business. So dealerships, if you're not using pictures and videos, you better jump on, because guess what? You're 50% more likely to sell that service if you are actually taking pictures and videos and sharing that with a customer for sure. So love it.
Tully would be proud, Skyler.
Oh, I know he'd be proud. The man's still trying to shoot for that 100%, but we'll see if he ever makes it there in his lifetime. So, but as you can see here, right, high-performing dealerships, this is really about productivity, metrics, and things like that. We really want to make sure that as dealerships understand is that offering finance, right, options for service is a huge one. I love that. Also, photos and videos is the highest one you can see here too as well. Making sure that we put it in our digital platform. We got to start putting the decision in customers' hands. All right. You know, I see too often where dealerships, not technicians, but advisors actually texting customers cost and what it's going to cost and what it is. You got to get up with the times. You got to put the decision in the customer's hand, right? Get it electronically. Speed that up. It's going to create more white space for you for sure. So,
Skyler, great information as always.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know you kind of touched on like using and capitalizing on the use of technology and the teamwork between the front and the back end, but what do you think is the biggest missed opportunity that dealerships currently have in service?
I think the biggest missed opportunity for service departments today is truly how do we keep that customer in our ecosystem? And a lot of that due is to communication. We've got to do a better job of communicating with the customer, and that goes back to that 33% number of how many customers want an appraised value on their car when they bring it in for service. That is a missed opportunity to keeping that customer in communicated, right? I mean, if you told me today my truck was valued at this, but guess what? In 3 months, just based off of what our metrics are and predictions, it could be valued at this, and I get a high service bill and that I can't afford, but it might be more likely for me to be able to trade that vehicle in. We've got to do a much better job of communicating to the consumer. We've got to build that trust, because that trust has been lost over many years, and you can see it, right? Trust sometimes doesn't always carry us over. When we're starting to lose customers at the year 1 and 2 years of ownership of a vehicle, we've got to really focus on that trust and transparency. And that really has got to come back to communication, right? In that too as well. And we got to market to our customers, right? We've got to look at it smart. Bella, I know you're going into data science and so forth, but I would tell you guys this is like too many dealerships have missed opportunities that we're not reading the data correctly. We're not seeing what the data story is telling us. And I think that's a missed opportunity for sure. So
I think your insights on that is very, very valuable, but also emphasizes that we need to keep looking at those numbers and make sure that we're looking at the numbers correctly and using them to their fullest capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
Well said. The 2026 Cox Automotive Fixed Operations and Ownership Study is on the web. I understand, Skyler, we can go to coxautoinc.com/ownership-study and learn more about it. And this is breaking stuff, breaking news. And Skyler, as always, thank you for delivering the goods here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Fascinating information and just so relevant for where we are right now.
Yeah, I truly will say this. This is the year for fixed ops. Everybody thought it was 2025. 2026 is the year for fixed ops. And when we think about profitability in a dealership, as we start to see those margins start to close down on new vehicles and sales and things like that, we've really got to start looking at what the cash cow is. I hate to call it a cash cow, but in a dealership, the fixed ops is the cash cow, and it's really helping dealerships really survive for sure.
Bella Smylie from Northwood University, thank you so much for helping to moderate this segment. Great questions. And Skyler Chadwick, Director of Product Consulting at Cox Automotive, thank you for all you do for the industry. And great information, again, available, everybody. Visit Cox Automotive on the web. You see the URL scrolling down the bottom. You can also reach out to Skyler there. He's very active on social media. I see his email scrolling as well if you have any questions. And Skyler, thanks for all you do for the industry.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Everybody, Skyler Chadwick with Cox Automotive here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here at NADA 2026 in Las Vegas. I'm Katrina Ness, joined by
Vanessa Collins, and we are here with a longtime friend of the Roundtable, Dave Perry, CEO of Blink AI. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's great to be here, and especially great to see both of you coming.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So tell us, what is Blink AI up to, and what are your initiatives here at NADA?
Well, this is a huge show for us this year, Vanessa.
Yeah.
We have announced 2 brand new products. We've announced 4 new partnerships.
Wow.
The show's blowing up for us. We've got mobile servicing that we've added. We've created a product we call Engagement Hub, and it's to basically engage with that customer through all media, with an appointment for a booking of a service appointment, following up with customer engagement. We've got a full boat.
That's amazing. And for those that don't know, kind of dive into what you guys do here at Blink AI for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. We're a customer engagement platform for fixed ops. That's why we love Ted Ings and the Roundtable. We're very engaged with that. But what we do is we use AI to engage with customers through any channels: text, voice, email, now telematic alerts. Excuse me. And what we do is we basically drive business into the dealership in mass volumes, and we create happy customers and packed dealerships. That's essentially what we do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So crucial to actually get the customers into the dealership. So that's great that that's kind of the pain point that you do solve. And so we've been hearing a lot of buzz and just positive feedback about Blink AI, and it seems like you're truly making strides in this industry. And it is still, the beginning of 2026. We have the whole year ahead. What are you looking forward to?
Well, the new products that we announced and the partnerships are just taking off.
Yeah.
We just, like I said, we added mobile service through a partnership with Spiffy. We've added GoTo as a partner so that we get a full experience on the phone systems all the way through the dealership. So we've really expanded. The way we want to look at it is, you got a lot of systems of record inside the dealership. You got the DMS, you got the CDP, you got the CRM. But what they don't have is a system of action to be able to manage across all those data and take action on behalf of the customer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what we've announced here at NADA. And you can see the booth's full of people. We're just super excited.
It is, absolutely. And for those dealers that may be hesitant to hop on the AI train, I know it's been a buzzword for a really long time, and we see it being implemented a lot. But for those that are maybe still hesitant, what would you say to them?
Well, there's a lot of AI out there. A lot of companies claiming they're AI companies delivering AI. But if you really dig deep, it's a very, very point solution. Yeah. I mean, a high school kid could create a voice AI platform. But unless you've got the integrations, unless you've got the history of understanding what those customer communications, the whole journeys look like, and be able to involve more of those things into, understanding what the customer's trying to achieve and getting them there quickly, then come see a real company we're not selling AI, we're selling solutions, and we use AI extensively.
Absolutely. And with AI, being such a hot topic these past few years, it's just important to remember it's not, replacing people. It's just there as a tool to save time and improve efficiencies within the dealership and within this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Because not every conversation needs to involve a human,
right,
but there are that do, and we can understand which of those customers involve emotion, or they're ready to buy, right, or I am stuck on the road, I need a tow, and right, I need to get somebody out here. Those are the things that really, and we escalate those to our friends in the BDC or to the service advisors. We're very friendly.
Yeah, and you can't, replace that human interaction, but you can help, improve the processes leading up to that ultimate interaction. So.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. Lots of exciting things happening at Blink AI. You are a legend in the industry, Dave Perry. So thank you so much. And for those online, stay tuned because there are many more valuable insights and conversations coming your way.
Up next is John Traver of Traver Connect to study the ground. He's mapping the fault lines in your customer experience because one missed call can feel like an earthquake.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It's that time of the show. John Traver from Traver Connect is with us. We brought a great colleague to join the fun. Marco Zwanenburg is here. John and Marco, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Awesome to be back. And Ted, thanks for bringing Z. Marco, what a privilege to have you hanging with us, buddy.
Well, thank you so much, John. I really appreciate the invite, and I'm looking forward to going over some important stuff with you and Ted, and let's get the show rolling.
Without this guy and the people, his peers, where he comes from, everything else we're doing is meaningless, right? Until that job is actually finished. So it is awesome to have you sitting in. So thank you.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it.
Ted,
so much relies on that technician, and Marco brings a wealth of experience, and we owe him a debt of gratitude, John, because it was 7 years ago this month, we're entering the 8th year now, that Marco twisted my arm and said, you got to do this event and get these people together for a Fixed Ops Roundtable, John. So Marco was the instigator back then and is today too.
Well, Marco, great vision, and Ted, nice job listening and executing, and it takes all of us. I'm just so glad to see that voice represented so well. So, Ted, what is this, number 32, buddy?
We're at 32, John Traver. Yes.
You look younger than you did when we started.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I mean, there's one of us that looks younger, and it's not me. So that's unbelievable. So I don't know how you do it, but send it my way, please.
Looking good, John. John Traver, the show is yours.
Awesome, my friend. Ted, thanks for having us back. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. Now, listen, this time I'm going to start in a weird place for Fixed Ops. We're going to talk about earthquakes. And we're going to do it under the theme of the customer experience. I think the thing about earthquakes, if you build a house in California, there's a chance of earthquakes. And, if you've been around and you know anything about it, you're going to fortify that house to make sure that in the event of an earthquake, it stays standing or has a good chance of standing. What's wild is when you think about customer experience, guys, every earthquake has the same sort of association. Every earthquake that's ever happened has one thing in common. It has a fault line. And that's its origin. That's its cause. That's its base. In customer experience, there are fault lines. And we are entering an era in automotive, specifically Fixed Ops, because I believe Fixed Ops is the engine for retention. And I think most of you that are here believe the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can't illustrate this today. And what better place to start than let's go to history. Let's take a look at a few earthquakes and see if there's anything we can learn from the earthquakes that have happened. Now, I could have grabbed from dozens, right? But I just grabbed a few because our time is short. The first one is this. It was a devastating earthquake. And if you look at the picture, Ted, do you want to take a guess where we're at here? Just knowing you and trivia, you're probably going to crush it, but I put you on the spot. You want to take a guess, Ted? Where are we? This guy is unbelievable. And folks, I didn't let him cheat. 1906, San Francisco earthquake. This is the turn of the century. Remember, if you live out east where Ted is, it's more dense, right? Population starts there, works its way west. At this point, 1906, 125 years ago, population isn't as big, but it is fortified. It does have buildings, if you will, and people. But what everybody knew at that time was there was a fault line in that area. It was the San Andreas Fault. Now, geology then wasn't what it is today, but they knew it was there. And the pictures that I was able to grab of the San Andreas Fault and this earthquake are harrowing. I mean, you look at a crack in the ground like that in 1906, and you wonder what's about to happen. This was a 7.9 on the Richter. People said you could feel this from Los Angeles all the way up the coast to Oregon and into central Nevada, guys. It lasted for about 60 seconds. You know, I got thinking about that, and there's somebody listening right now that might think, is that all? Just 60? Yeah, I think if any of us were standing on that ground, like Tully in that region, we're all thinking the exact same thing. When is this going to stop, right? 60 seconds is a long time. So the thing about this was the impact, 3,000 people plus died. 250,000 people were left homeless. And the damage, over 400 million at the time, 28,000 buildings end up being razed or fall. That's about 80% of the city. You know, when I think about this, the thing about San Francisco was this visible fault, everyone knew was there. It's kind of like customer experience. There are faults that we have underneath us in our operation. This isn't about ignorance. This is about being able to anticipate and know what we got to do. So I think there's a leadership lesson for every store. The problem you already know that exists can hurt you if you've learned to live with it. So we want to know what's broke, whether it's slow response times, weak handoffs, inconsistent behavior from an advisor, maybe no real follow-up. The danger in that kind of CX fault line is when it starts to feel normal. That's a problem. Okay. Let me give you the second one. The second one was offshore of North America. This one's in Haiti. It was 26 years ago or 16 years ago. And this one was devastating as well. Fault line was the Caribbean North American plate boundary for you geologists out there listening. This was a smaller quake, quote unquote, a 7 to a 7.3, but you could feel it all through Haiti, the Dominican, Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico. This one lasted half the time, 30 seconds. Look at the damage. 30 seconds, a lot of rubble and a lot of lost lives. Over 300,000 people were lost. 1.5 million people in that 30-second window were homeless. What really struck me about this one, the 10 billion was huge relative to their gross domestic product, but 60% of the healthcare system was wiped out that day in 30 seconds. So, you know, when I think about where we stand, if you can't read the early signals, you walk straight into, you know, these ruptures. It's a problem. I think fixed ops has a theme here as we start to build on this. I got one more real quick, and I'm going to take you into the world of big business. Indian Ocean. The Indian plate is beneath the Burma plate. And there's all this detail, but the bottom line is it runs under the sea. Now think about this. We got things happening in our operation today that we can't quite see, but we know might be an issue. Imagine not even being able to feel it until it's too late because it's under something even deeper, like the waters of the ocean. And that's what happened here. This was in 04. This one was 22 years ago, and this was a monster. It was 9.1 to 9.3. You might remember it. It created that seafloor uplift, right? And when you say how big was the tsunami that it created, they said the waves exceeded 100 feet tall. And the speed of the deep ocean wave was 300 to 500 plus miles an hour. It's airplane speed. I don't know what you do with that amount of water moving at that speed except for prey. I mean, it was devastating. And of course, it goes far inland. 13 countries are affected: Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India's eastern coast, Thailand, the Maldives, Malaysia, Somalia, East Africa. So I just wanted you to see, I mean, not listing them all, but you kind of get the idea there. This one's the most chilling, guys, because everything looked calm until it didn't. And I think that happens in our businesses often. Customer pay softens. Think about that. First visit return drops. Communication scores start sliding. We talk about texting and video throughout the fort, right? And instead of treating it like a warning, we have a different response, and it's not going to be adequate. So we want to read the early signals. 250,000 people are lost. 10 to 15 billion is one of the deadliest disasters ever. So the question then, so as I'm preparing for you guys, I'm really focused on the client experience gap, because you can never be too wise in this area of business development. Real quick recap. I think there's a few clues here. Everyone knew in 1906 the fault line was there, the San Andreas. You know what kind of fault this is? This is the visible fault that we ignore. The one that we know already exists. That's the kind of fault. That's clue number one. There are some faults that exist in our fixed operation and our handling with consumers, our clients, our customers, that we choose to not pay attention to. That's another way of describing ignore, right? The Haiti event, you got the week. Here's the thing. This wasn't as big, but it was close to the surface, guys. And it was also close to the capital where a lot of people live. And so there are some, you see where I'm going with this. The bottom line is, this is the small number that kills you. The little number, you say, well, that's not really that big of it. That's not really that bad. And all of a sudden it begins to add up. And then, of course, the Indian Ocean, everything was calm offshore, right? This one's eerie because as I read on this, they said that as the sea went out and receded because of the shift in the plates, people began to, wow, and they walked out on shore farther than they normally could without being wet. They literally were walking into danger. Guys, they had no model of risk. They didn't know what they were walking into. This is the deep fault that looks harmless. Yeah, we've tried mobile, but it costs too much money. I don't know if that's it for you, but I want to begin to apply this and show you that, guys, we get a certain amount of opportunities to get this right, to own our customer base until we don't. You follow me? So when you look at the fault lines that exist today, what I would say is a few things. Number one, you don't always see these fault lines, right? They're going to exist in the customer's experience, what they're experiencing as they work their way to the store, through the store, and back to the street. Your service scheduling. You say, John, we have our own team. Great. Do you eat the dog food? Do you listen to what that process sounds like? Are you optimizing what's happening? We use AI. Great. Do you hear the opt-outs? Are you studying the LLM and where they're frustrated? Do you have humans involved in that process so they can opt out and get to a voice because your phones are still ringing? Incentives. Are people, the folks that interface with the consumer, are they paid to build rapport, to embrace trust? Are they excellent communicators? You see? And are they able to convey that? Do your pay plans reflect that? As Munger said, I shared this last time, Ted, show me the compensation, I'll show you the behavior, right? And then the service department culture. There are some, the Ed Roberts of the world, I think about what they've done at Beaux-Arts, and there may be some people that, maybe don't want to hear that. But the bottom line is we all have that opportunity to build that culture. It's sort of the constant, never-ending process, as the Japanese said with Kaizen many years ago, right, Ted? When you and I bumped into each other at Toyota. I mean, it's the same thing today. That part hasn't changed. But here's where you get in trouble with CX fault lines. The belief is we're okay. And what I'm saying to you, look, as a fellow soldier in this game, we're not okay. We're not. Because when these things shift, it doesn't just affect CSI, gang. what it does is it takes out to sea our customers, our technicians, our profitability. It leaves us. Unless we're sitting there in an inner tube waiting for it to come back, I don't know. But I don't like the strategy, and I don't think you do either. Now, I've set the stage there. So now let me go into business. I'm going to go big business, and then I'm going into the service drive, okay? So big business. Can we learn anything from guys that have absolutely dropped the ball with customer experience, not thinking about what they're actually doing? John, give me some big companies that really screwed up. Okay, you got it. Thanks for asking. Ted, you want me to share that, right?
I do. And I was going to say, John, these fault lines are there today, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we see them, whether they're invisible, whether we just refuse to accept it. But it's all around us in industry. So tell us about some who missed the big mark.
Well, okay, you asked, and so we're going to deliver. I think here's the first big business quake. You got the old Blockbuster meets Netflix. Let me tell you what happened. Netflix, this is circa 2000. Netflix has this business, and they're sending DVDs by mail. Do you remember this?
I remember seeing them for the first time in airports because people could pick up their videos and drop them off in the physical, and they would mail them out. Yes.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right. And so they came to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster, do you remember Friday nights? You know, Ted, it was go to Blockbuster and get a video and some popcorn and his family night.
Marco, you had to go early, Marco, if you wanted to get the good movies, right?
They had all these stores.
And don't forget to rewind.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they had stores all over the place. I mean, it was amazing. So they show up. Let me tell you what didn't happen. So what did happen is Netflix showed up, and they said, hey, it's like 2000, year 2000. They said, hey, we want 50 million for this business. Just so you know, that's not actually that much money, especially at that time in that space. I read story after story on Blockbuster's leadership response, and I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but it is said, even in Fortune magazine, I read the article, they said they laughed. They laughed. That's called hubris. That's what happens when we get too baked in the past and we don't pay attention to the future and the present. That's what happens when what does the customer value? We don't listen to very close. We listen to what we value more, and that'll get us in trouble. Netflix, hey, they saw the DVD by mail thing and they got locked onto that. What they didn't see, guys, was where it was going. And you know where it was going. It was going streaming. It was a matter of when. What did happen? You know, Blockbuster got quaked, but it's not because people stopped liking movies. They got quaked because the customers got an easier, faster, more convenient way to what? To watch movies. Could we apply service to that? I'm curious. It just might be happening in a store near you, right? Blockbuster filed for BK. Hey, by the way, how did Netflix do? Well, they're doing okay. They're about 400 billion a day. I shot that screen yesterday. Yeah, man. I don't ever want you guys to think I'm just spinning this stuff up, just saying this. I want you to know, like, this is real time. This is where we're at today, gang. All right. So that one's a problem. All right. Let me give you another one. Ted, you want another one? Can I give you another one? Fastball down the middle. Here's Quake 2, Kodak. Now, you remember years ago, Ted, probably this is show 32. That might have been show 10. But I did one on Kodak. You remember that vaguely? Okay. So what's wild about Kodak, it's one of the great business warnings because they did not miss the future, which is what I'm trying to talk about right now. They actually invented it. They buried, depending on how you pronounce it, they buried this idea. Between 75 and 79, they patented this thing. They say around 1978. It was called the electronic still camera. I mean, unbelievable. They saw it. They were good at it. But, you know, the thing is they didn't want to cannibalize all that money that was flowing in for film sales. Amen. I know. I remember. And this company started a few years earlier. I'll get to that in a second. They deprioritized digital. Is it possible that we're deprioritizing convenience? Is it possible that we're deprioritizing communication? Is it possible that we're deprioritizing anti-anxiety activity? Because the thing we know about the average consumer, when they call in, they're anxious. Can I tell you something? As a fellow peer and partner in this space serving, that works to our advantage. If we know that they're anxious, then we have a chance to do something about it, which makes what we do very important, very visible, very timely, and very valuable. You see? So the bottom line is digital was the side project. Film was the religion. See, service for years was the side department, Ted. Amen? Yeah. Yeah. Sales was the religion. That's shifted in case anybody just landed here on planet Earth, right? Warning signs, they had plenty, but they ignored them. What ends up happening by 2000s, digital gets adopted, competitors embrace digital. I mean, it's a problem. They're BK in 2012. It's a problem. By the way, I told you they existed a few years before. These guys, Kodak shows themselves 1889 to 2012, but my research shows them they originated as an organization in 1880. They became Kodak in 1882. That's when the plate business, which, right, became film eventually, really was founded and Kodak evolves. My point is, you could be around a long time. Think about Tully and his group. They've been around a long time in NoCal. We can even be around a long time. If we get it wrong, it doesn't matter how long, you see. So that one was number 2. Here's the third one real quick, Borders and Amazon. And again, Borders makes a different mistake. Let me tell you what they did. They outsourced too much of the relationship. Outsourcing is not bad, but they outsourced the entire relationship because they were sitting on their hands from an e-commerce standpoint. Borders gets approached by Amazon. Hey, we can do e-commerce for you. Borders says, sure. And they were slow on everything, Ted. They were slow. Marco, they were even slow to ebooks. Okay. And they were in the book business. And here's what I want to show you something. While they were slow on everything, here's what Amazon's doing. The power of one word, when you can get what you do down to one word, like why you do what you do, you got something. You have the ability to just laser focus on what you're doing. This is what Amazon, this was their language. Click, buy, arrive. Uh-oh, that's hyper-focused. There's no War and Peace and, description. I mean, it's single word stuff. You're in trouble, okay? So, we know that it grows and, what happens, Amazon grows, border legs, they go BK. And I'll never forget this article, Ted. 2011, Borders to shut down remaining 399 stores. That's how the story ends when we miss the plates rubbing beneath our feet. And look, guys, without a customer, you know what we got? An expense. We got nothing. But with a customer, we have a business. That's why we started this thing, right? So real quick, geology, I mean, just think, when you think geology, you got these plates that are rubbing against each other, but you don't know it. There's stress that's happening down there, then pressure, then you got a rupture. And that rupture is a quake or something happens, and things that used to be stable are all of a sudden not stable, like buildings. That's geology, but we're not doing geology today. We're doing business. So when I jump into that, I say, okay, look, in your service department, you got customers and dealers, operating staff, everything. Look, hey, we got right now today, you got people in your service lane and they're interacting with advisors. And so on the surface, it looks like everything's healthy. Quick question. Would that be a safe assumption or would that just be an assumption? Right? Okay. So there's this gap that exists. And that's what I'm working to talk about today. When trust erodes, you're going to have an issue. That's the pressure. Then you get a defection. There's no second chance then, right? CSI scores all of a sudden start to slide. So that's what the CX gap causes. Now, let me get into service now, okay? I'm just going to take you right into this. So this is the heart of the issue. The delivery gap, I think, is a space between what we believe we provide and what the customer actually experiences. And let me just say this. My intention, even at Traver Connect, is to deliver this thing that is X. Does that mean that we always deliver X? No. The key, though, is that in leading, we don't, find ourselves on hallucinogens where, we can look at it for what it is and begin to rapidly improve it. And there's only one way to do that, and that's assess. If we're talking dealership, then I would say what dealers believe, what customers experience. And here's the gap. This is Bain & Company. This is all industries, by the way, not just automotives. This is applied to automotive, okay? 80%. What do you think we're going to say? 80%, everything's great. We believe we're delivering this superior experience. Yeah, 20% of the time I know we missed, but 80%, I think it's wonderful. And what the Bain study said was actually the number is 8. And unfortunately, you know where that goes. The number of customers that actually feel. Notice it doesn't say, because some customers don't want to deal with the heat and they'll give you a decent score and they keep moving. My question is, what does the return business look like? My question is, what does customer pay as you work in year 3 through 5 look like? My question is, what happens after that initial warranty is over? What's our retention? That's how you're going to know what they're actually feeling. If they come in the first time and they don't come in the second time, my guess is the first time didn't go as planned. Does that make sense? And you go, John, that's kind of harsh. Guys, I'm on your team. Listen, what I want you to see is the gap. There's 72 points there. That's how we avoid being in the rubble. We're sitting on a space where consumers, there's something they want. These plates are rubbing. And so what we want to do is understand, like, how do I get there? What do I do? Make sense? So in our Experience Matters event, we get into fault lines, and I'm just going to give you 5 of them. So this is one of the things we get into and teach and help stores kind of identify theirs. And you're welcome to join us at one of our upcoming events if you would so choose.
By the way, those are great events. They're in John's beautiful office in a suburb of Dallas. I've been there, and John leads those events like no other, and it's an experience to be had. So experience matters.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted. So we got, the first one is the intent to appointment gap. So this is real simple. We're delivering units today. This is 80 versus 23. What's the 80? 80 is 80% of new car buyers will tell you, hey, guess what? I'm coming back here for service. You know what percent actually have a service appointment scheduled before they leave? 23. Guys, I would say we're starting defection literally at point of delivery.
Yeah, right.
That should be 100%. Oh, by the way, is this new, Ted? I mean,
not new, John. No,
brother, we were doing this in the 80s.
Yeah, not new.
For a fact, right? Yeah. So, customers.
That fault line's been there for a while. We just have ignored it.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
We're walking around it.
That's it. So what we want to do is celebrate process activity here, right? So that's one. The second one is, and again, I just want to say we tend to overvalue what we intended and undervalue what the customer actually endured. That's what I'm trying to point out here, okay? So the second one here is the loyalty collapse. This is 72 versus 54. In the last couple of years, service loyalty among new car owners has dropped about almost 20 points, 18 points. Guys, that's a lot. That's a lot. And dealers lost 12% of service visits. I've been tracking this with you, Ted, since I've been doing the show with you, showing RO counts nationally, NADA data book. And we went from 250 to 270 to 290 to 310 to 315 to 317 million US. And after COVID, we roll back to 260. We ease our way back in the 70s. We haven't hit 300 yet in over 5 years. So what happened to all those ROs? They're not happening. And that's a CX event. That's a fault line. The third is communication fault. And so what I would say about this guy is nearly half of customers, they're going to talk about dissatisfaction, not over the repair quality, but they're going to talk about unexpected costs. I got a inbox message on LinkedIn from this gal who bought property from my wife and I 25 years ago. She's in a different market. And she's complaining because she said, John, I know you're in this space. I see you on LinkedIn. I really don't know her well. And she said, but here's what happened. She got a $28,000 bill or bid to do work on her husband's car. Her husband did. But she just complained about the communication. And I know they're extremely wealthy. And she's asking me for advice. And of course, puts me in a weird spot, and it's a big group. And so I try to give her good advice, but this one right here is sticking out. It's the communication basically dilutes the trust, right? Next one is this. It's fix it right the first time. We got Marco sitting here and comebacks, right? So we know how important this is. The bottom line is, if it's 10, 12% that aren't fixed right the first time, the loss rate there is typically 50%. And I'm going to talk about why in just a sec. Ultimately, when we lose a customer, I need you guys to have the number 12 grand in your head.
Yes. We're hearing that number a lot now, John. Yes.
Good. Then we're aligned. Every lost customer is about 12 G's. Yep. And so you start adding those up, and that's revenue that won't be there. That's gross margin that won't be there. That if we go find it and buy it and pay for it and acquire it and get it back in, and then we get to start at the little $70 RO and work our way back up.
Sure.
We're still where we would have been anyway.
Yeah.
That's painful, right? Like I don't want to do that. So it's more, I would just say this, when a customer disappears, it's not just a lost RO, it's lifetime revenue leak. And I think what customers are really saying on the defection stuff where it's not fixed right the first time, it's not, can they repair my car? It's, can I trust these people? That's what they're asking. But if we communicate well, we can overcome most of those. When it's not fixed right the first time, I also think it's not a mechanical issue, it becomes an emotional issue. And I'm not trying to be soft. I'm just trying to show you so you can uncover this and figure this out. Make sense? Okay, so how do we monitor this thing? Well, data. Seismic for real earthquakes in your dealership, your seismograph is going to be your data. So what kind of data, John? So I got a little bit of application for you here. We're going from geology straight into running shops. The key here is you don't lack warning signs, in my opinion. The key is too often we treat these early tremors that I'm going to list out here like background noise. Guys, these are tremors. Okay, got it? So the first one, drop, you have a drop in customer paid RO count. Can you quantify that, Ted? Is that measurable in every store? Absolutely. So when they become post-warranty and they're leaving quietly for independence, that is a tremor. So you say, John, what do? You got to have a due for service campaign system set up where you have a methodology where we're reaching out. And we do that before we get to 3 to 5 years. There should be an engine that starts from day one. Okay. Value anchored maintenance specials. What I mean by that is those of you that have your own people calling, they got to have some worm on the hook. Complimentary inspection offers do help. Ask Sarah, she ran the BDC there, right? For the whole group. I mean, anybody that's done this will tell you, give me a little something to work with. You know what I mean? Give me some butter for the pan so I don't burn the food. Whatever your analogy is, the bottom line is, guys, this is a very important part of what we're doing. 2 is, I'm going to speed this up, but your first visit return rate, like I said earlier, if they come in for that first $70 RO, and I know that's not exciting, but look, if you don't have the first one, you won't have the second, third, or fourth. So we'll take the first, right? So that experience is not earning a second visit. And you go, well, how do I fix that? Well, start by auditing the write-up process. Take a look at it. Survey your first timers within 24 hours of being there. How did we do? What do we need to be working on? What could we improve on? What did we do well that you want to make sure we keep doing? Like that. And then, by the way, the people doing it, they need to be retention-focused people, right? The next one is advisor greeting compliance. This is saying hello. Ted, I often will say, you cannot not communicate. No matter whether you don't say, if I send you a text and you don't respond to me, you must be busy, or you're upset at me, or I don't know. But the bottom line, when someone rolls up, we cannot not communicate with them. We have to greet them because that's the minimum. By the way, JD Power, CSI, this is a top driver being missed. Like that's a layup. So these would be standards. And real quick on standards, remember, standards are a minimum. So manager walkthroughs, you want to tie advisor performance and pay back to this stuff. Next one, fix it right the first time, right? We want the errors to be small. So pre-repair checklist, what's causing that? Track the first time fix rate by tech, by RO type. Marco, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, John. Absolutely.
Yep. And then
Most
parts
important stuff.
availability. How often does parts availability tie in there, Marco?
I'd say about a good 50% of the time, especially in today's market with the global sourcing of parts. It can be a disaster to get the right part at the right time.
Bingo. So, and then CSI communication scores, when you see those declining, remember, generation to generation, you're always going to lose a little bit of trust just because there's no trust established yet. And what you can do to bridge that gap is use texting and use video. Those have shown an improvement in trust and awareness, okay? So real quick, I want to close this out with a few thoughts. So number one, I think if you're going to be a high-performing shop, under the theme of business development, under improving your CX, your overall customer experience, you're addressing the fault lines that exist. Number one, you constantly got to be assessing. Like there's got to be a little bit of paranoia to you. Just no matter how good you are, just think about that day where the earth moves and you'll constantly get better. Okay. 2, you got to reinforce early, man. Don't wait. Yesterday was too late. Do we start now? Start now. John, it's not organized. Start now and polish it, right? So example, activate first appointments. Could we get that going next week where that's like religion? Yes, then do it, right? 2, convenience. Wherever you can implement convenience, the answer should be yes. Any of these stores that are excelling, guys, that's what they're doing, okay? If you're going to get radical, you know what I get radical about? Transparency. You say, well, how would I do that? Well, I start with this belief. I have no reason to expect blind trust from the customer. We want to earn that over. Sir, Mr. Ings, here's what we found. I'm going to send you some pictures of the tire. If I were you, I recommend, I'm going to send you, here's the leak. And I think we got a couple ways we can approach this, but blind trust, no bueno. And that's what happened with that gal that reached out to me. They couldn't see the reasoning. They just saw the bill. Does that make sense?
Marco, I'm thinking about all these electronic tech pictures that Kodak missed out on. So there you go.
Yeah, buddy. Yes. And then communication. I think, communication, you don't want to just have standards. You want to have elite standards. Elite. And you have to demonstrate that. You got to hire for that. And it should never, ever be optional. I think, if you allow it to be substandard, that will be your standard, right? And lastly, Ted, is you want to be a life cycle thinker. And I'm not talking about getting on a bike and riding the Pan American Highway here, okay? I'm talking about fixed ops is not a side department. It's not. It's the retention engine, my friend. That's it. It's the retention engine. So, this is the canary in the coal mine, this CX stuff, Ted. What a pleasure it is to be able to do the fort with you guys and talk about something that we're so passionate about here at Traver. Our team is passionate about, and that's making the experience matter for your customer, for you as our dealer partner, for this industry, with people that are wired in a way who can and will. Always a pleasure, Ted. Thanks for having us.
Everyone, you see the phone number on the screen and the email. John Traver at Traver Connect holds these workshops in his office several times a year. I believe there's one coming up a little bit later this summer. You want to attend that, reach out to the Traver team here and be a part of that. And by the way, if you have questions on any of these business development steps, John Traver and his team are the very best in the industry. And my friend for a long, long time. It's got to be going on 40 years now, John. So
we're knocking on the door, buddy. Yeah.
Marco, and look how important all this plays into fixed ops being the engine of that dealership.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's nothing new. It always has been and it always will be. It's just now we're just finally starting to wake up to that fact. As usual, we are reactive instead of proactive.
I'm afraid you're right, brother. It is, we are in a window of time right now. If I had to predict that I don't know if it's 3 to 5 years, but you're in a space now of haves and have-nots being formed when it comes to CX. And if you pay attention, you look at the haves, you'll see most of what I just talked about is present. Like they've either weeded out the stuff that was holding them up, or they've implemented the stuff like convenience that is going to move them forward. It's time. Let's go.
The time is now, everybody.
Yeah.
Marco Zwanenburg and John Traver from Traver Connect. TraverConnect.com. Reach out to them on the web. John, a huge part of everything we do here at Fixed Operations. John Traver, thank you for all you do for the industry, and Marco as well.
My privilege, Ted. Thank you.
Everybody, Traver Connect here with us today on the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Creating solutions for automotive business development has somehow stuck with me throughout my 40-year automotive career, including today, where Traver Connect's vision for creating business development results for your fixed operations, it continues to evolve. The one thing that has been constant perhaps is the change because of the industry, because of the customer, because of technology. Our mission though here at Traver, it's simple. In fact, it fits on a t-shirt, and the mission is 2 words: experience matters.
I've had the privilege of working alongside John Traver for over 3 decades. His original vision was creating both the BDC and BDM models for the industry, was one of his earliest works. It actually made a cultural shift in how the industry did business for the next 30 plus years. Like many of you, I was introduced to Traver as a client and was looking for that game changer to elevate my business. I learned over time that big wins didn't come from overcomplicated strategies. They're won on the front lines by consistently executing the basics. To accomplish that, you need the right people who have the time and are equipped to do the right things. What has changed, though, are the market conditions. Technology has evolved, customer interactions are more complex, and expectations have never been higher. Your customer experience today drives your revenue tomorrow. But with these changes come challenges. Catching every call, securing service business before it's lost, offering conveniences like pickup and delivery, or engaging AI to ensure the right conversations happen at the right time. Our experience matters. We're here to help our retailers pivot successfully, whether by doing it with them or doing it for them. The team we've assembled is obsessed with getting results, partnering with integrity, bringing a can-do attitude to make the customer, you, and our experience truly matter.
At Traver Connect, building solid and lasting relationships starts by making every customer interaction seamless. Our approach is simple. We focus on theirs, yours, and ours. Theirs, the customer experience. Yours, the dealership's success, and ours, the expertise we bring to make it all work. We transform everyday customer interactions into loyalty-building moments that create lasting relationships. It's not about doing more. It's about doing it consistently and cohesively. You decide what role you want us to play, big or small. We'll strengthen your connections and help shape the future of automotive service.
You might wonder, what are some of the common fixed ops BDC issues that we solve? Well, if you have less than 100% retention, 100% of your UIOs being retained, then we would play a role in due for service or due for first service, or an orphaned service customer. We can do the campaigns and we can make that happen, or we can duplicate that process at your store for your people to do. Special order parts, we don't want those sitting on the shelf. Recalls, incoming calls, the phones. So all we got to do is say the phones, and we know. And that could be augmenting the team you already have or us doing it for you. We do both. And then education. We have an Experience Matters learning track available for dealers, and that's fixed ops directors, service managers, general managers, dealer principals. That's a wonderful, wonderful education forum on how to make experience matter at your dealership and all the tenets and points that go with driving it. And then we have a learning track separate for BDMs And then we have a learning track for those new agents that are starting in stores. We do that remote, of course. So multiple ways that we are developing a learning track for Experience Matters. Today, we can support nearly any scheduling tool. We can poll, we can integrate to any dealership management system virtually. And we have created some of our own AI solutions that we use as middleware, supporting status calls and things like this. As margins have tightened throughout these tricky markets that we're navigating together, I believe having the right partnership to deliver essential business development results is the equivalent to having that play that grabs that next first down day after day after day for your dealership. So we'd love to learn more about your business development needs. Give us a call, please. Let's draw up your playbook together.